La 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 la. There you go. Brilliant, eh?
Oh no, it was, said the actress to the bishop.
Yeah. Do you want to learn some beatbox today? Shall I teach you beatbox?
Oh really?
I think we should teach. I think at some point we should do some teaching Festa beatbox, or at least my beatbox.
Oh my god!
'Cause if you're going to learn to beatbox, you want to learn everybody's different methods, and you should learn my method as well. Hello, welcome, welcome. He says as he moves the microphone into the actual area. Welcome, one and all. It is Warhammer Sunday. Welcome, welcome, children of all ages, up there, down here, out there, in the place with the watching and the listening. Welcome. I don't know where I'm going with that. Welcome to Warhammer Sunday. Yes, it's that time of the week when Festa and I try and do as little as possible in 3 hours, basically, like we did last week. What, 4 decals?
Oh yeah, last week, mate, we beat the all-time record, didn't we? Was it 4 decals in 3 hours?
I'll tell you, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 decals in 3 hours.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Oh,
yeah.
15, actually, 2 more on there. Yeah, 15 decals in 3 hours. That's got to be a record.
Yeah, that was lame, wasn't it? We were bad.
Yeah. Now, Colin, I've been having to think, you know, and do you know what I've realised?
What's that, mate?
Do you know what makes this stream so awesome?
Go for it. Oh, bless you. I'm welling up.
I was getting me bits of foam out and I was like, what? Today's
I've
show
had big
blood.
hugs. I've had big hugs all weekend. I'm proper made up now. Oh, no, bless.
That's so schmaltzy.
You have forgot the most important thing, mate.
What's that?
You haven't done your pimpage.
I'm getting that, don't worry. I thought it was more important to give you the big ups.
I know. I can mop my tears whilst you're doing that. But then, you know, don't forget I have got a fun palette. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, spell F-U-M palette.
Oh yeah, fun. Yeah, with a capital F. Yeah.
Or even fan palette, F-A-M. Fan palette. It's a fan palette, isn't it?
Fun. Yeah, it's fun palette.
Fun.
Isn't it?
It's kind of halfway between a U and an A, and I don't know how you spell that.
Yeah, fun.
Fun. Anyway, yes, welcome everyone to Warhammer Sunday. At the time of the week when we crack on, and we'll explain what we're doing in a minute if you've not seen one of these before in the last few weeks. But before we get going, it's time for the pimpage and the shout-outs. First of all, big massive shout-outs to all the people that make my channel and content possible. First and foremost, my sponsors, emodels.co.uk, your one-stop shop for all your model making, all of them, all the needs you got. How many needs, Colin?
Not some of them, not a few of them, all of them.
All. Yeah. Nobody says all like Colin. Say it again, dude.
All.
There you go. All those needs.
It's all of them.
All those needs you have. Well, maybe not that specific need because that's personal. We don't want to know about that. But the other needs.
No one says all turquoise like me either, do they, mate?
Oh, yeah.
You pilch.
Vander Oak.
Yeah, Oak. He said, I did Oak turquoise. I said Oak with an Oak. Yeah.
Spoon. Yes, so big thank you to emodels.co.uk. Link in the description below the video. Go and check them out. Give them all your money and they'll like you for it. If you're feeling overburdened by money, as Marcus would say, feeling overburdened by money. But unlike Marcus, you do get refunds. Right, so yes, thank you to them. Thank you to my patrons and channel members who as well make all my content possible. They literally put food on my table. So big thank you to them. If you want to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/modelmakinguru. The address is on the bottom of the screen somewhere. I need to press one button. Hang on, I've got to press 1 second.
I'll cut you.
Performance mode. There we go. Hello. Bom, bom, IDI, bom.
Bom, bom, bom.
You see what I did there? You see what I did there?
You did.
So
you
quick,
did, mate.
so fast. Yeah,
you're on form today, aren't you?
And if you want to become a channel member, you can just press join at the button at the bottom of my video, any of my content, and you can become a channel member. Either way, you're supporting me, you're keeping the channel alive, you're literally putting food on my table, and you get access to the live 24/7 Zoom hangout, off-air hangout. You can, of course, support Colin's channel as well. I'll let him do that bit.
Yeah, that's patreon.com/Festa67's workshop, or you can click the join button under any of me content or become a channel member, and that gives you access to the Zoom 24/7 off-air hangout. Because me and him run it together, don't we, mate?
We do, certainly. Now, do be aware, if you're using Colin's Festa 67 workshop name on his screen there, when you look for it on Patreon, there's no apostrophe.
Oh.
No. You might want to take that out.
Yeah. Is it bothering you?
No, it's just if somebody searches for that, they might go off that, and then they're putting an apostrophe in it, and they won't find you, see. They won't give you any money.
I don't know whether on Patreon it's got the apostrophe, is it? I don't know.
Don't think so, actually. I don't think so. Anyway, so yes, you can support both of us that way, because we're both
Absolutely.
awesome. And this is for the people watching. The other thing that makes this stream awesome
You're good, ain't you?
is all of you. So yes, thank you to all of them. Now, yes, if you haven't been watching one of these over the last few weeks, we have been painting a Leman Russ. And what we're doing is, this is an educating Festa special. I shall let Colin explain. Because I'm going to have a bit of a sleep while you explain.
Cat in headlights, educating Festa. This is Fox. Fox teaching me the way that he paints his Warhammer. So that it adds to my repertoire. My repertoire of painting techniques. So this is a paint effect that he's teaching me, which is what he does on his Bane Blades and Leman Russ. And yeah, so that's what we're up to, folks. Mm-hmm. So it's another technique I can learn to do badly.
I don't know. No, it's important for me to just clarify. I'm not teaching Colin how to paint. Because I'm a mediocre at best painter. I'm not teaching him the right way to paint. He just wants to know how I paint, so he can put that with all the other ways that people paint that he's learned, and he can figure out his own way. It's not me saying I'm brilliant, learn how I do it, and it's the right way. It's me saying
he's basically got that fed up with me going, how did you do that? How did you do that? It's like, if I teach you, you'll stop busting my ear roll. That's what he's doing.
But the other thing, of course, I could just say, go and watch my video that shows you how to do it, but he knows me in real life, so he may as well just ask me and we'll sit and do it. So. And
he knows what I'm like. It took me 6 years to go and watch Deep Space Nine after he recommended it, so... Yeah.
Box Fox says about e-models, if it doesn't fit your needs are wrong. And Paul DiTomaso says, they don't have all the things. I doubt they sell a Willy moulding kit. If you ask Pete nicely,
he'll get you one.
Yeah, they can get you anything. Right, we'll have a quick look at chat before we get going. We have, the first person I can see in here is Lynn Dipple. Don't forget, of course, if you're watching this, it's all about the chat. We've got the chat in front of us, and we'll be interacting as best we can. Bear in mind, we're going to be busy painting. But come and join the live chat. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitter or somewhere embedded, click the YouTube icon in the bottom right-hand corner. It'll take you to YouTube, where you can carry on watching and join the live chat. And all the cool kids are in live chat. Lynn Dipple's in. Big hugs to you. And Box Fox Scoot. Those two were the first in, so welcome to you two. Box Fox is living that box life. Paul DiTomaso is in. Hello, Fox, Colin, and all in chat. Says Paul. Big hugs to you. Welcome.
Hello, Paul.
Paul Lewis is in. Wiggle.
Hello, mate.
Wiggle. In the year 40,000, there is only Fox. It says Box Fox Scoot and Colin. Excuse me.
And we're both down that really dark hole in the distance. Fox is further down than me, I hasten to add.
I don't know about that.
Weighed down by all the points that he's got on all these Warhammer sites that
You've got more.
Yeah, but don't forget though, you've pulled some of your points in and used them. I haven't.
I haven't used any of my points on Goblin Gaming. No, we both agreed points on Goblin Gaming, and I've been shopping there for about 2 years and had like 5 points. Festa went in there and like within 1 week had about 1,050 12 points.
There may be a lot of points in there, yeah. Yeah, but I didn't blow, what was it, 800 quid at Fold's World.
Hey, I buy them to sell them. There you go. Buy them to paint.
Absolutely, mate.
Buy them to flip them. It's stock. Don't think of it as treating myself. It's stock.
Oh no, it's an investment for future carpetings.
Yeah, carpeting's what? Steady now.
Oh no, I was trying to make it sound good, mate.
Yeah. So yes. Anyway, but don't forget, of course, I might be further down in the hole, but I took like 5 years to get there. You were there in about 2.5 minutes.
I can't argue against that. Can I?
You've got a much bigger spade. Darren Edmonds is in. Says hello, everyone. Welcome, Darren.
Hello, mate.
Box Folk Scoot says, please don't beat me, and all I can hear now is the voice of Gob from Fallout 3 saying, don't hit me. Please don't beat me, beatbox, he says. Panzer Cat's in. He says, afternoon all. Hi, Fox Hugs. Hi, Festa Hugs. Welcome to you,
hello,
Panzer.
Mate.
Well, Panzer, if you wish to make That's Jeff, isn't it? Not Panzer.
That's Jeff Candygram for Mongo, mate.
Nearly went wrong
East
there.
to Coulson. Yeah, nearly went wrong, mate.
Jeff Light is in. Hi, Fox, Colin, and everyone in chat.
Hello, mate.
Joseph Kelly says, hello all, in a 1950s way. Hello. Welcome.
Yeah. Do you reckon he's Grayson out of Mr. Chumley Water?
Yeah, could, I don't know. Maybe he's like, who was the, it could be more of a Molesworth.
Could be.
Nigel Molesworth, or who was the one that used to go, hello clouds, hello sky, Fotherington Thomas, maybe. Don't know.
Yeah.
The weed Fotherington Thomas. Hello clouds, hello sky, la la la. As any fool knows. I really must dig out my old Molesworth books, they're so good. Oh, hello, something happened. What happened? I didn't see it.
Paul J. Lewis has been a member for 4 months. And it says, help, I'm trapped inside this member milestone.
There you go. I've got my thing on performance mode, so I can't see the notifications. I can hear them, I just can't see them.
Yeah. I can see all the things, mate, all the things.
I must go and dig my Molesworth books out. If you've never read any Nigel Molesworth books, if you're in the UK, outside the UK you might not get it, but just look them up. They are the funniest thing ever. They're like tales. It's like a schoolboy writing tales of his life in school, but it's like 1950s, like grammar school style, and it's just hilarious. Fotherington Thomas, I don't know. Where are we up to? Hello, just lurking, says Eon's car.
Hello, Eons. Hey, diddling.
Although by telling us he's lurking, he's not actually lurking.
Yeah, he's in stealth mode. That's what he's in.
Box Fox says you can gauge a person's age by what they call their... and then puts the hashtag symbol in there. You can also tell where they're from, because in America they call it the pound sign. Whereas we call it the... I don't know what we call it apart from hash. Hash, maybe?
Ash. Yeah, ash. Ash, isn't it?
Yes. Philly says, evening all, I learned a possibly useful dry brushing tip this week. Apparently the dusty, chalky result can be avoided by not using paper to wick off the brush.
Oh, good shot.
Yeah, if you do it on like a smooth... If you've got any of like smooth paper or plastic...
Parchment paper would be good, wouldn't it?
Nah, that rooks up quite easily. You get little powdery bits.
Does it?
Yeah, if you're ever using a wet palette for a while and using the same patch over and over again, you'll see it starts to get a bit... You pick up little fibres. Yeah, little fibres.
You can do your Carl Sagan now. Candygram for Mongo's in.
If you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe.
And we're also joined by a model making royalty. Gross Models is in.
Bum, bum, bum. Now with 100% less face beard.
I know, he looks like a newborn baby, doesn't he? I want to buy him.
Just
I want to buy him a onesie and burp him.
No, don't forget he's got a Pikachu hat. Put that with the onesie in, it's getting a bit weird.
Yeah, people might start,
He's going a bit weird Japanese there, I think. Welcome, Chris. Thank you for coming in, my friend. Smash your screen to free Paul. Lynn Dipple's in. Welcome, Lynn. Big hugs to you.
Hello, Lynn.
Hello, Lynn. Wax paper, says Box Fox. Yeah, wax paper would do. If you've got the Citadel palette pad, that's nice and smooth and shiny. That'd do as well. Or plastic sheet or anything, really. Anything where you can get a lot of the paint off. But, yeah, not drying it out to a powdery effect. Edward Leonard is in.
Edward Leonard.
Afternoon, Fox, Colin, and chatty peoples. Right. Should we do some work? We probably shouldn't we?
Yeah, don't think we're going to get away for it for a second week, do you?
Yeah. And Edward says, he's doing the UBV 76 number station.
Oh, right.
Pripyat, Andreevich. I can't think of any Russian names now. Never mind.
But yeah, I suppose we better do some work, haven't we, mate?
Yeah. So, if you've been watching so far in this Educating Festa thing, you know that we have got this far. This is what we've got up to. We have. Do you want to go through what we've done, or shall I go through what we've done?
You can go through it. Yeah, don't mind. Yeah, I've done a bit of the old...
I'll put you full screen so you can panic. I mean, go through it.
No, we started off with, I do believe, Dark Reaper, wasn't it?
Yeah, Dark Reaper, over it, black primer base.
Then done a bit of Known Oil on it. Then we went back up with a bit of Skaven Bite. No, we started with Skaven Bite Dinge, didn't we? And then did Dark Reaper.
Yes. No, we haven't done Dark Reaper yet. That was for guns on the Stomper.
Because we did the what's his name, didn't we? we put the known oil on and then we had to lighten it a little bit, didn't we? With a bit of Mechanicus Standard Grey.
Yes. And
So,
tiny hint of Dawn
Yeah,
Stone.
we did it with base brushes in a swirly motion and, yeah.
Let me just compare, because we did this as dry brushing. We've done no airbrushing on this. It's all like the base coat's applied as a flat coat, and then the Mechanicus Grey and the Dawnstone are dry brushed over to get that pre-shaded effect. But let me just compare that dry brush with my dry brush.
Okay, my brush is okay. Yeah. But,
Yeah.
no, I told you, I'm a bit heavy-handed.
You have to go on eBay and see if you can buy like a big batch of second-hand medium
Yes,
base brushes.
right,
eBay,
yeah.
from eBay. So we've done that.
Bit of decaling.
Yeah, put our basic decals on.
I've been over mine with a buffer just to fade them down a tad.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do to start with, and what you can do as well, you may as well do it, is we've done that. We're now going to do the chipping. But what we want to do first, before we do that, if you look at the decals, when we eventually do lots of weathering and matte coats and stuff, these will matte down. They're very shiny at the minute. No, it's not something I would normally do, but I want to show it so people can see how you do it. You might want to get rid of that shine and make them fit in a bit more, so that when you finish the model later on, you're not going to risk them still being a little bit shiny. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to get some out of the drawer because I forgot to get it ready. I'm going to guess which drawer it's in. It's in that drawer. We're going to get some Lamian Medium, or Labia Mermaids, as we like to call it. I didn't tell you about this, so you might not have prepared.
Yeah, it's just behind me.
Oh, good lad. Let me get some clean Labia Mermaids. Oops. And this is a handy tip if you want to. This is just to basically to seal the decals in and protect them a little bit from the... take the shine off them, but also it will protect them a little bit from the dry brushing and anything else we do on top. Now, some people will do like a gloss varnish under the decals and then put the decals on and then gloss varnish it again. But we don't need a shiny surface because we're not going to be doing pin washes or anything, so it doesn't matter, it's a matte surface. So what I'm going to do is just, rather than get some varnish on it, I've got some Lamian Medium, which is basically a paint without any colour in it. It's just literally a Citadel paint with no colour in it.
Yeah, a bit like a matte medium, yeah?
Yeah, well, basically that's what it is. It's just paint with no colour, so you can use it to dilute but not thin your paints. But it also works as a matte sealer. So
There you go.
I shall get an brush. You don't need a good brush for this, just any old brush.
Scuzzy brush.
Yeah, doesn't have to be scuzzy, but just, you can use a good brush if you want. The trick we're going to do is we are going to try and seal these in, but what you want to do is when you do it, get a paint holder for a start, which would be a good start. Where's my little paint holders? There they are. Give your Lamian Medium a good shake because it's got matte medium in it that makes it matte. If you don't, it'll be shiny. And all you need to do is get it on there. Now, do bear in mind, folks, it may be that you may think I'm explaining stuff to Colin that he already knows, and he does know most of this anyway. But I'm doing it for people that are watching that might not know how to do these things. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, Colin knows I'm not being patronising. How would you brush in your hand like this?
Yeah.
If you're doing anything like this, if you were, for example, say you put a gloss varnish down, you're glossing over your decals, or you're anything like this, to avoid it looking really obvious, the best thing to do is do the whole panel that the decal is on.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't, you've not then got a standy out, because it won't. The paint has got a little bit of shine to it, but it's not much. So all you need to do is basically go in with your Lamian Medium, and just quite simply do it on this one. Go over that panel with the Lamian Medium. Because it's basically a paint with no colour, it'll give it a little bit of protection, not a massive amount, but it'll give it a little bit of protection, enough to withstand, the chipping and weathering later on. So just one coat's enough, just get it on there. It's got no colour to it. It will also matte down the surface so the decal should look a little less shiny. It just means when you get to the very end of the project, you don't risk suddenly finding that everything looks great, but you've got still a bit of a glistening decal.
Yeah.
But just make sure you do, like on this one here, I'm doing the whole panel.
Yeah.
Just so it doesn't look as obvious. Like on this door, I'll do the whole door. Oh, hello, Donald.
Yeah, a bit of Donald Duck for you there. Excuse me. Yeah, apologies to anyone whose eardrums have just burst.
It's funny, whenever Mama Fox is downstairs and she sneezes. She sneezes quite a lot, so if I'll be up here, for example, doing something, I'll hear this sneeze, so I'll go downstairs, I'll just walk downstairs, say nothing, walk in the room, pop a headphone off the side of her head and just go... dribble shite, and then walk off again.
Oh, bless her.
You find it quite amusing. So really, we're just going over the specific panels, each panel, and just stick to the panel just for the sake of it doesn't stand out as much then. Now you can do this with a matte varnish if you want. If you've got a brushable matte varnish, things like the Vallejo black matte varnishes, you can brush them if you want, and there are others. If it's an acrylic matte varnish, you can do that if you want, or you can just do this, brush Lamy medium. We're not going to be doing anything too aggressive over these decals, other than, you know, enamel washing and weathering and chipping. So the layer of paint will be enough to protect it. It's just a good way to protect it if you don't want to get your varnish out. And varnishes can sometimes take a while to dry. This stuff will be dry in minutes, so
yeah, workable
in minutes. So we'll just do that bit there.
Also, it's the same basically as the underlying base of the paint, isn't it? So
yeah, and that's a good point actually. It is just because it's just another Citadel paint with no colour. It's just like it's going to have the same texture and consistency.
Yeah, you're not going to have a reaction of any kind, put it that way.
No. I mean, sometimes varnishes, the only problem with brushing on a matte varnish is that sometimes when you brush a matte varnish on, it can come out a little bit shiny, a little bit satin, because they're designed really to be airbrushed on, ideally. So if you're doing the whole thing, it wouldn't matter, but if you're doing like one panel, then when you brush it on, that panel might stand out a bit. So, and it might be that somebody doesn't want to go past this point, and this is as much as they want to do, so this is how you can matte them down.
Good, they haven't met us two then, have they?
Also, putting your finger on it when it's wet is a great way to get great big fingerprint in it. Woohoo!
Oh, did you just do that, Spoon?
Yeah. No, they will still have a little bit of shine to them, but once it just means that it's reduced down, so that once we get to the weathering stage and the final matte varnish, they won't look shiny at all. So that's that. Plus, the thing is, Lamy medium, it smells like applesauce.
And you get to say Lamia medium.
Labia mermaids, if people don't know, I used to put up, you know, like on the old Games Workshop videos, they used to have a little, when they say colour, it would come in the corner like that, saying, you know, on black. I used to do a thing like that, but have the silly made-up names, just take the mickey out of it. So, so Lamia medium was Labia mermaids.
Which is all well and good, but you got caught out recently when you had to list your mum's meds, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you're so used to making up names for them, it was like,
yeah, when Mama Fox was in hospital, she's on various medications and we make up names for them. And the nurse came in and said, because she was going through some delirium stages at the time, this was last year, and they were doing various checks to make sure she was still compass mode. She's like, do you know what are you on medications? Yes. Do you know what medications you're on? Yes, I'm on Diplodocus. Floppy dog dick, and I can't remember what the other ones are now. We've not used them for a while. And listed these 4 made-up names, and the nurse looked at Mum and then looked at me and was like, "It doesn't say she's got Alzheimer's." I said, we use silly names. And she went, "Oh right." I said, "So she remembered that?" Yeah. Your memory's good then.
Oh yeah. And then nothing wrong with Mama Fox's memory, mate.
The funny thing was, she got the nurses used to saying the silly names then, so I dread to think what the outcome of that was.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Forget your brushes, Festa. Use a chewed twig for dry brushing, says Darren Edmonds.
Yeah.
Also, if it's one of them African thingy brushes, you can use it to clean your teeth as well.
Yeah.
Who else is here? Let's have a look. Bass brushes and a swirly motion. The latest concept album from the Foxx and Colin Wiggle band.
Yeah.
Yeah, we model ourselves after Yes, but not very well.
Yeah. Yeah, we're no.
Just remembered I've got 2 decals on the turret that I forgot about. Hang on.
I just realised I didn't get round to doing my naming decal. I must do that.
Yeah. You can do it quickly now if you want. I don't mind.
Nah, I don't do things quickly.
It's only 1 decal.
Nah, it's loads of decals. Got cut all the letters up.
Oh, you're going to make a custom word, weren't you? That's right.
Yeah.
You're going to make, like, you know, a rude word. You can make a rude word if you want.
Yeah, so I haven't forgotten. It's just, I had forgotten. I just haven't got round to it.
I haven't forgotten, he says, after saying, I forgot to do my decal.
Yeah, I know.
Now, if you remember last week, I had that decal on the turret here that was going right over a rivet. It bedded down. Eventually, with lots of applications of decal solution.
Oh right, yeah.
But in the end, I just had to prick it with a little knife blade and just pop it so I could get the rivet to push through.
Yeah, that's good enough.
What I'll need to do is do a little touch of white paint on that rivet, or it'll get covered up with rust anyway on that rivet, so you won't
Well, you
notice
can
the
always
gap.
run the buffer over it and it looks like the paint's come off the rivet, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, that's kind of how it came out anyway. But
Yeah.
once I've got like a rust wash around that rivet and stuff and highlighted it, it'll just... You won't miss it. It's like the little bit of the thing is missing, but it'll be hidden eventually.
Yeah.
So we'll give that a minute to dry. There's no other decals, I don't think. No.
No.
So there you go. So we'll just give this a minute to dry. Fraser Green is in, says, "Heyo!"
Hello, Fraser. How you doing, geese?
Like Steve the Bandit from Borderlands. "Heyo!"
Hey-oh.
I'm just blowing on this to dry it a little bit. We'll give it a minute.
That's right, mate.
Hopefully you can see on that one. Well, not quite dry yet, but...
Yeah, it matches straight down though, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can see on here, it gets rid of the shiny for the most part, but it also then doesn't make the door look any different from the surrounding model. Like if you did a matte varnish, it might be a little bit more satiny, but because it's just a paint with no colour, it's just like having another layer of paint. Like it keeps it the same, so it just gets rid of that. You can see it on this one here, it just gets rid of that little glisten. And once everything else is on there, it'll just look like it's painted up.
Glisten.
Ooh.
You feel better now, don't you?
Bums. Much better.
Underneath the arches.
God, it's Friday already. Jesus.
Oh no. Thought I'd get that one in.
Oh, look who found this stream. Hi, Andy. That was
Hello,
McLeish. Because
geese.
McLeish said, boom!
Boom.
McLeish. Now, I'm not ready to start chipping yet. Give it a minute to dry. But for our chipping, I was trying to think what would be a good highlight chip colour. What we're going to basically do, to explain for all the viewers. Now, you know what you're doing with chipping, but, we have little bits of foams or sponge, and we're going to be doing the paint chipping. And we're going to do a two-stage chip. There's lots of different ways of doing chipping. If you've been watching me and Colin doing our stompers on Fridays, for my blue paint, I didn't even do chipping at all. I just painted it all rusty colours and then dry brushed the blue colour over the top, so you get like faded chippy parts. That's one way of doing it. It's a bit more realistic. For this, though, we're going to do the classic model making, slightly cartoony, but it kind of works chipping method. And there's different ways you can do it, but we're going to do it the easiest way. Rather than paint a chip and then paint another chip on the bottom, and just forget that. What we're going to do, we're going to apply the first chip colour with a sponge.
Sponge. You're a sponge.
We're going to do the first chip colour with a sponge, and that's just to save time. You could brush this on, but if, like Colin, you struggle with, say, hand dexterity, or you've got the shakes in your hand sometime, haven't you?
Yeah.
Some people struggle. I can struggle with holding a small brush for a while because my joints are knackered. But some people might not be able to do real fine detail for a long time, so you could brush the chips on. But we'll do that for the second half. The first thing we're going to do is brush on the highlight coat. We're going to do two colours. A highlight colour and then an interior colour. And the idea is, and I've explained this a million times before, but I'll do it again. Because, why not? The idea is that you have a Sharpie. You've got your piece of metal there. Let's say you've got an edge here. There's a box. And you want to suggest there's a paint chip, maybe on it, doesn't have to be on an edge. So what you do is you do a highlight chip like this first, like on an edge, and this will generally be a lighter version of the colour of the base of your vehicle. So if you've done a blue vehicle, you'll do a really light blue. If you've done a red vehicle, you'll do almost a pink. And then what you'll do is you'll fill that in with your substrate colour. Now, if you're doing a vehicle that's rusted under the paint, you might do it rust colour. If you're doing it like a vehicle like a Land Rover bodies don't rust because they're made of aluminium, so they will be silver, or a Japanese aircraft or something like that. So you do it irrelevant, or you might do, if you want to suggest there's an undercoat colour, like if it was a German World War II tank, the tank might be a sandy colour, for example, or green, but the primer underneath might be like a tank primer red, because they use a lot of red primers on the tanks. So you can do whatever colour you want, but the idea you're trying to suggest is that you've got basically the base colour here, your base paint colour. You've got this chip has come off like that, and it's exposed a little crust of paint on the edge, which is where this paint here is worn and dirty because it's got dust and dirt and grime on it. This paint here is under the surface, so it's still quite fresh, and it's usually a lighter colour than the paint around it. And then inside that you've got the whatever's underneath that paint because the paint's chipped off. It's not brilliantly realistic, but your brain sees it and says that's where the paint's chipped off, and it works.
Survives the 2-foot test, mate, doesn't it?
If it's not horrendously realistic. More realistic would be to dry brush your base colour over the rust colours, because then you don't really see these three-dimensional chips. What some people might do is they might paint a scratch in a dark colour, and then they'll paint a highlight on the bottom like that. Let's say you've got a paint chip there like a scratch, and they'll paint a highlight, and that's to suggest like a three-dimensional. But again, that doesn't really work for me. This seems to make more sense in my brain.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a highlight colour first, and then we'll do the colour underneath. So you can do all this as brush paint, but we're going to cut corners. Not really. We're going to accommodate Festa's shakes. So what you do, and he knows what he's doing. We're going to take a light colour. I kind of figured that Administratum Grey might be all right.
Administratum Grey.
I think you've got that one.
I will have a looky
It
look.
might be light enough. I'm not really sure. That pot itself is absolutely knackered though, so let's see if I've got a better pot of Administratum Grey.
Have a looky look.
Administratum Grey.
Yeah, we've got it.
Lovely. We might have to change that though, because that might be the only pot I've got and it's a bit knackered. Hang on. It might be Dawnstone. Ooh.
I've got Dawnstone as well. Got a bit of Dawnstone.
Dawnstone? Little Dawnstone.
Pardon me.
I'm going to have to move the microphone because I need to get into my drawer. Have I got any more Administratum Grey? Yeah.
That's lime oil. Shove that in there.
Dawnstone. Dawnstone might not be light enough. Have I got any more Administratum Grey? Dear. It's all gone wrong.
I would say I could lend you some of mine, mate.
Can you just like put it through the tubes?
Yeah, I'll put it through the tubes, mate. Incoming.
Oh no, I've just got bees. I just got bees through there then.
Oh, damn! Forgot to clean me pipes out.
I'll tell you what, I'll use this pot. I think I can salvage it. Let me just shake the paint.
Have you got anything you can knock it back into life with?
I've recovered. No, it was just a bit lumping, but I've managed to recover it. Okay, yeah. So it might not be light enough, but I think it's about the light. But I've got some lighter greys, but I don't want to go too far. So all you need to do for this is have a piece of sponge, a pair of the tweezers. I would recommend, if you can, wear gloves. I'm going to put some gloves on, purely because it can get very messy and you end up covered in paint on your fingers, and then you grab your model and put a big dot of fingerprint in it. So I'm going to put some gloves on. You don't have to.
That's all right.
I'm a big princess, so... Yeah.
No wrong bit of princess.
Lynn Dipple says, I hope everyone is sitting down. I'm cooking chicken. I went to Costco and bought a 6-pack of chicken breasts, and well, when I opened it, there were 2 breasts per pocket. Ooh. Now I have 12 chicken breasts to cook today. You know what you need to do, Lynn? You need to get your slow cooker out and make a metric shed ton of slow-cooked chicken and casserole type stuff. What do you reckon, Cole?
I can't get my slow cooker out. She's at Legoland.
Oh, you're going to suffer for that one. Do you know, when the cat's away...
At the time I thought that was so clever.
When the cat's away...
Upon reflection...
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Upon reflection, I now see the error of my ways.
Yeah. Upon reflection of the fact there's a chat full of people who can grass you up at the moment's notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't think that one through, did you? No.
I'll just sit there and go, oh, they're mucking you about, love.
Yeah, they're just trying to get me in trouble. They're doing really well.
Yeah, would I say stuff like that, dear?
You should never, ever say that to your wife. Would I ever do something like... Yes. Oh.
Yeah, that's A-level guilt, mate.
Yeah. Right, now what I'm going to do... If you've never done sponge chipping before, Colin knows what he's doing with this, but, you know, I'll explain it for the viewers.
Mate, I'm just admiring your extremely neon bright gloves. They are, without doubt, the brightest.
Well, I had a cunning plan for these that sounded great in my head when I bought them, which was that, like, you know, I have my cartoon Fox character on the side of the screen saying, hey, welcome to the video, blah, blah, blah. and then I'd have it cut to doing the work, and it'd look like him doing the work because it's orange. Yeah, I might have, when I started doing it, I'm like, doesn't quite work out the way I planned.
No.
But it's cool. Because I have like a sleeve there, so you can't see the colour of my skin, and it's like, it's Fox doing the work. Look, it's not me, it's Fox. No.
Oh, he had one job. One job's all he had.
Because, it's that guy. Where is he? That guy there. See?
Yeah.
I could leave him there, actually, but it covers up a little bit of your screen, which isn't really fair.
That's all right.
Oh.
Not a problem. Saves people looking at my paintwork.
Shh. No.
Right, I
shall take him off.
Let's get sponge. Get me sponge.
Sponge! Right, so yes, if you've never done this before, get yourself... These are bits of packing foam from... if you've bought a watch, if you buy anything electronic, sometimes if you buy miniatures, especially like Reaper bones and stuff, they come with this foam that keeps them in place. I got these from... I can't remember where I got these from now.
I've got a big box of them, mate, ain't I?
You have? What, Reaper bones or sponges?
Sponges. Got a big box of them I have.
Oh, this
somewhere.
This was bits of foam from a Games Workshop skirmish case. You can. They've got the little wiggly bits, and you can cut the foam out to fit bigger models. Well, I had all these bits of foam, and I'm like, well, I'll just chop them up and use them. So, any kind of foam like that where it's like lots of gaps and holes. Now, what I like to do is before you start using it, just distress the edge with a pair of scissors like that.
He's good, isn't he?
Because you want it to be random.
This is why he's a guru, folks.
Yeah. Because the whole point you're going to do here is you're going to be using the sponge to apply little tiny chips. But if you just cut it with a knife or something, you've got a nice straight edge, it's not really going to work, so I like to fret it with a pair of scissors.
He frets it, he does.
Just so you get a little bit of a scribbly surface there. It's not quite as nice and smooth and flat. And bits of foam everywhere. I end up with this room, and you walk, after about a month, I'll be in the corner of the room, there'll be a pile of foam because it always migrates to the corner.
That one's got a bit more interest.
You want some tweezers? Now, what I would recommend here, if you can get some, if you've got some, just to save you the hassle, is some reverse grip tweezers. Because they're permanently closed and you have to force them open. And that's purely because it's easier than to just leave them held like that. So, there you go, there's my bit of sponge.
Yeah. I think we all got them when we first went to E-Models. It's like,
yeah, E-Models
we've all got the same set, haven't we? The bent pair and the straight pair. It's like,
with the wood bit.
Yeah, it's like,
Everybody got the same ones and used them 3 times. So I'm just going to fluff it a little bit. There you go. So it's nice and random and slightly bleppy now.
Are you fluffing, dear?
I'm fluffing, yes. So all you want to do is, you can do this on tissue, or like we said before, you do it on a card or something like that. I'm actually going to use a piece of Citadel palette pad, because it does actually work quite good.
He's good, isn't he? Yeah. This is why he's a guru, you know.
I'm not a guru. I'm a GNU. So what you need to do, give your paint a shake.
Yeah.
And all you do is, I won't put this in the holder because I'm going to close it every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Yes, Lynn, I did find my tank handle.
Tank handle.
And it is suitably glued on, darling.
Oh, were you pinging
Do you know where it was?
Go on.
Do you know where it was?
Where's your handle? Was it on your foot?
Yeah, it's between my toes.
How do things get between your toes all the time?
Because I have my feet on a drawer that's pulled out right under my bench, mate. Ah. You've asked me this before.
I thought you had the apron. I thought you had an apron on that catches all the bits or something, didn't you?
No, I've not got my apron on today, mate. No.
Right, so here we go. It is quite tricky getting the sponge to sit in your tweezers in a good way. Sometimes it really doesn't want to cooperate. You can ball it up or something, that might work. Because it always seems to want to misbehave. So all you do is... I don't like that layout. Hang on. You just want to fettle with it for 5 minutes so it looks cool.
Yeah, give it a good bit of a deft squishage, folks.
Yeah. You've got to make sure it's going to stay in the tweezers but not roll around everywhere. I think it's better. So you get your paint. Now, this is the one time I will tell you to take paint straight from the pot. Yeah, you don't want to do this on a wet palette because it thins the paint too much and gets it too wet, and it's hard to get a dry brush when your paint's moist. So...
moist. No, that's why I did it for you, to save you the hassle,
Good
mate.
lad. So get your sponge, dip it gently in the paint, just a little bit, don't need a lot. And then what you need to do is just touch it to the card or your tissue, whatever you want, and just do this until you start getting almost nothing coming off. You won't be able to see this because it'll be overexposed. You're only touching it lightly, and then all you need to do is go to your model and start applying it. Ideally, for a lot of it, you want to just stick to... There's too much on there. You want to stick to edges where it makes sense that paint is being chipped away. Still too much paint. But you can get adventurous and build it up in other places if you want to. Because chipping doesn't happen just on the edges.
No.
But it will tend to focus on edges and things. Edges? We don't need no stinking edges, senor. And just go slowly. Now, it can take a while. And don't worry if they look really tiny and bitty, because what we'll do is we'll do some brushwork to build some of these up. We'll link some of them together and we'll make bigger chips in certain areas. But right now you just want to start with the edges, and then you can start making some of them go into other places. Don't forget, Cole, this bit at the front here, we're going to paint the stripe on that bit. So you don't need to, yeah. I'll do the edge anyway, just in case we don't paint the stripe on the edge, but I think we will, but just in case. And this does seem to be quite a nice light colour, so there we go. So now, just in case doing this, now you can do as much or as little as you want. But as with all weathering, just try and remember you're telling a story with your weathering. So what makes paint chip off? Well, what makes paint chip off is being hit with a stone, having a tree branch scraped across it, having people moving tools and equipment over that surface all the time. You know, it's a panel that opens and paint scrapes off the edge. It's a piece that moves against another piece. It's a rotating piece where it scuffs paint away. The one thing we can't do with this is put scratches, and we'll do that manually with the brush. But so, you know, areas of high traffic, bits that stick out at the edge, well, they're going to hit trees and branches and hedges and things. So just, you know, go for it. And then you can start building them up in the middle of panels as well, but not quite as intensely. And that's just where things have pinged off the surface. And don't forget, of course, to go over your decals. This is why we did the decals first. But you can build them up if you've got, say, a panel here like this door. If you get the hang of it, you can start building the chips up around the edge. If you've got something that moves, you can start building them up quite heavily around that edge there. It's a bit hit and miss with the sponge, but the reason you do the sponge is it's a lot faster than brush painting individual chips.
Oh, bloody hell, yeah.
Which I enjoy doing, I'll be honest, but it's a lot faster and it's a lot more random. It's actually really hard to paint random patterns. Now, it's not going to be completely random because it's the same chunk of sponge, and you will see a pattern emerge, so what you need to do is rotate it around every now and then, and if you want to, you can change for a different piece of sponge, or you can change the sponge around and move the tweezers onto a different bit. But it's all about getting most of the paint off. But I'm not pushing hard. I'm just doing that because you want the paint to be on the little sort of ridged surface bit, and then you're just touching it to the model. And again, you can do as much or as little as you like. Colin,
oh, cut me.
Steady now. You and your burping. Honestly, you won't get that. You won't get that under a Tory, under a Labour government. So I'll put like more down here at the front, you see, because this is the front of the tank where
Yeah,
be more...
it's going to have a lot more wear and tear.
Yeah, if I'd been driving it, it'll be all scratched to hell, basically. But and don't worry if it looks a bit weird, because like I said, we will join some bits together. We'll put rust in some parts, and a lot of this, it look really stark right now. But when you actually do all the rest of the weathering, this will really disappear. So don't worry that you think you've gone too far with it. If you think you made a bit, if it looks like it's suddenly got some kind of like disease.
Yeah, it's
don't
got
panic.
a bad bout of acne.
Yeah, don't panic, because a lot of this will the tinier, smaller dots will disappear when you put all the weathering on top. So it will be fine. You want to stick to the front edges. So, and this is what we're going to do now for the next 20 minutes.
Happy days.
How's yours coming on, buddy? You having fun?
Yeah, getting there.
Yeah, I think this colour will work as a highlight. I think it seems to be.
Of course, you've got to take into account as well the scale of the thing, because this is about the size of a house.
Yeah, you can't paint massive, dirty, great big chips. I mean, it's kind of out of your control when you're doing this method, but try and keep in mind that a paint chip on a real vehicle, and I always recommend you go and look at real knackered, like building site vehicles and things. On a real vehicle, a paint chip is rarely bigger than a human hand. It can be if a lot of chips have come together and made a piece of paint flake off, but rarely a chip is bigger than, say, a human hand. So a lot of it is tiny little specks, basically. A lot of this. But you will have areas, if you're doing a rust coat underneath, like the metal under the paint's rusted, that gives you an excuse to do bigger chips, because then you can say, right, well, here's all these big chips that have come together and a big piece of paint has had rust under it and flaked off.
Yeah. Ray Aquilina's in saying hello. Hello,
hey,
Ray. Hope you're doing all right, mate.
Big hugs to you, buddy. I'm doing chips under here, but it's going to get lots of mud under the bottom, so I'm not too fussed about being neat and tidy underneath. Because a lot of that will vanish under dirt and dust. So you can be a bit slapdash on down there. Be a bit slapdash on the under area, if you know what I mean. Just like real life.
Yeah.
I hope all this is coming out on camera. And ideally you want to make sure your sponge is like not smooth. You want it to be like packing sponge.
Yeah.
I mean, using bits from inside a skirmish box is an expensive way of using your foam, but if you like the kind of foam you get when, when you buy a watch or something, some of mine is from,
just keep the foam insert.
Yeah, keep the foam that comes with it. You often get like with watches and things like that, you get these like it's foam that's got lots of air spaces in it, basically. And sometimes bath sponges, but they can have really big pores, and they don't really work on small models. You want something with really fine pores, and that's pores with an O. Nice, you have made 4 uniform bits there, and it looks a bit rubbish, so I'll turn the sponge around and twiddle it a little bit. And I can add later chips with the brush, so it's just you're putting down a base layer, really, to work on. So anyway, how has everybody been? Well, we're doing this for the next 20 minutes. How have you all been?
Yeah.
Hope you're all having a good weekend, and you've all had a good weekend.
Ask Fox anything you want.
Yeah, and Colin will tell you the answer. And don't forget, of course, the most important question in the world.
What is in your belly? What is on the bench? What is your beverage of choice?
Beverage, yes. Yeah, bench and belly. Yeah. Bench, obviously, for me and Cole, you know. Belly for me tonight, it might actually be tonight fish finger butties for dinner, I don't know.
Oh, nice.
Just laziness and whatever I can get in the fridge that doesn't need defrosting. Out the freezer,
I've got a couple of ping burgers, mate.
Couple of what? Oh, Mike. Oh, ping burger. Oh, I know what you mean. What, rustlers?
Rustlers, mate.
Oh, get in. Get in. It's the correct answer. It's absolutely the correct answer.
I shall be having them once the stream is done.
Get them in the Popty Ping.
Absolutely, mate.
Ping burgers. I love that name.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to talk about, and I can't remember what it was now. It was obviously that important.
You've been doing your part work, haven't you?
Yes, I got most of my Dodge done on Friday. My Dodge Charger. Although I got 2 of the 3 packs done, so I've got 1 pack held there, and I'll wait till I get another one to do that. I was going to do my Iron Man yesterday, but my camera decided to be an arse, so no Iron Man occurred yesterday.
Yeah, well, went a bit Pete Tong for you, didn't it, mate?
Yeah, so installing of drivers and reinstalling of drivers and stuff later on, it all seems to have come good. I assume my camera will behave throughout the course of this stream, I do not know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, folks. If you could let us know in the chat that audio and video are going through okay, that would be a big help.
Yeah.
Because we've both been caught out by that recently, so it's easier just to ask the chat.
Pop tipping. What have you been up to, buddy? So other than that this week, though, I mean, I'm not, as always, I've real life stuff.
What have I been up to? I did the final episode of the Rossi Bite. That's up on early access on the community page on my YouTube channel and on me Patreon for patrons.
Lovely.
So that's the last episode of that. And then really, I did the E-Model stream Wednesday. bit more on that. And I'll hopefully be filming the rest of the Wendy Ixon bike this week. So that I can start voiceover all of that, so I can get some episodes up on the channel.
Jolly good.
And then it'll be prepping and getting ready for the next E-models build. So.
Yes, as usual, I haven't had time to do much this week, sadly.
Yeah, so...
If you missed my Partwork live stream, by the way, because the way I'm doing Partworks now is they're streamed live to my patrons and channel members as a reward for my patrons and channel members. And then once the stream's finished, it goes up as a non-live archive for everybody else. So if you weren't able to watch the live stream, it's now available for you. It's in 2 parts because it fell over halfway through. Thanks, YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube just went weird for no reason at all.
Yeah, it's not happy unless it goes weird, does it?
Yeah, I choose to blame YouTube. It might have been something else, I don't know.
Works for me.
YouTube didn't work for me at that point. That's the...
Oh, it's YouTube's fault.
So many problems. Hello.
Oh, dear.
Before we get going, let me tell you all my problems. Little in joke there. What was I going to say? Yes, I've not done much this week. Again, it's just real life getting in the way, stopping me.
I've not done much this week.
No, I've not done much this weekend. All my problems getting in the way.
Oh, dear.
But this is why I'm depending on the live streams, you see, because
yeah,
you know, I can't really guarantee I can set time aside or get involved in filming too much because there's too much going on. But I can fit streams in around certain events, so at least I can guarantee I can do a live stream. You know, filming's a bit more tricky when you're constantly being called away. So,
well, this is the thing as well, isn't it? With the filming, is it does take a lot longer to film than it does to do a live stream because you've got all your editing and voiceover in. And
well, the difficulty with filming as well is that if I'm doing a live stream and I have to leave the bench for a minute, that's fine. I just put on the "I'll be back in a minute" screen. It's not a problem. But if I'm in the middle of filming and I'm halfway through painting a fiddly bit that I'm filming, I can't just suddenly stop because I can't go back and unpaint it.
No.
So it's not. I can't risk being in the middle of something and messing it up. So I need to be available for stuff. So yeah, basically, that's why you're getting things like the live streams for the Partworks, and you're getting things like the video game streams because it's all I can actually get around at the minute is streaming. It's not ideal, but at least I'm giving my supporters something.
It's one of them, innit? I mean, we both got heavily into it during lockdown, didn't we? And it allowed us to get content out there for folks without stressing over having to film straight away. So, and we've kind of got distracted a little bit with it, but the filming is beginning to take place. It's just I like to have a bit of an archive ready so that I can then voice over on days that I can't actually build. I can still put some content out. So I've got a couple of build series that I've filmed to voice over, so there'll be content then.
Cool. Now, what I'm thinking with this stripy decal on the front, you know.
Oh, what, the red and white stripe?
No, sorry, the yellow, the yellow and black
stripe.
Yeah. I'm thinking perhaps we might need to do a yellow highlight chip layer on those, because I've put some grey on it and it looks fine, but then that's like the grey paint under the yellow and black stripe.
Yeah.
So I'm debating whether I need to manually brush paint some yellow on there as well. Cover some of the grey chips up with the yellow. Yeah,
see, I was lucky when I buffed it. I'd managed to get some of the yellow come through the black.
Yeah.
Some of the black through the yellow. So...
Well, I might do that then at some point. It's just add some, like I'm doing now with the sponge, but with the brush, I'll paint over some of the grey chips from the sponge with yellow.
Yeah.
But not like paint in the middle of them, but just replace them completely with yellow, because then it looks like the yellow paint is chipped.
Yeah, it's come through then, isn't it? Yeah.
And this is the thing to remember when you're doing a chipping colour, like a chipping coat like this. If if your model is all grey, I can just do all this light grey chip. If you've got parts of the model where there's like a red bit, and you'll see this when we do the stripes later on, then you need to make sure you're doing a chip appropriate to the red, like a pink or something. So now I'm doing a lot of chipping on this front bit because this will take a lot of hassle and damage. But you can see there I'm doing the grey chip on the black and it's starting to chip the black away.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really work on the yellow, so I'll have to do that manually with the
manual brushing.
Yes. Spanish waiter, manual brushing. You see what
Paul Lewis says belly, duck breast with buttered potatoes and veg.
Ooh.
Bench mini art 135th type 17 Lieferwagen. Fruit delivery van, beverage, Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. I've still in my stash got that Japanese food van that sells octopus balls.
Oh, that's brilliant, that is.
Octopus ball seller.
Yeah, get your octopus balls here.
Yeah.
£3 per pound.
And it looks like he looks like a bad guy from the Tintin movie.
Right, yeah.
He looks like he's got that kind of face. It makes him look French and from a Tintin movie, from the animated Tintin movie. He's quite charming. He doesn't look Japanese at all, basically, is what I'm saying. I'm going quite heavy at the front here, but the front is where you're going to get all the damages, so...
Yeah, it's going to be pretty mullered up there, mate.
And there'll be a lot of streaking and weathering on there, so it's not a bad thing. And you can go as heavy or as light as you want on these chips. Because remember, a lot of these will be filled in and they will disappear. If you think you've gone too far, don't panic. Because a lot of them will fade away when you put the weathering on there. I'm not worried about the exhaust because they're going to get a separate paint coat. They'll be painted separately. And I'm probably not going to do too much underneath because you're not going to see that. And
no.
It's going to be covered in dust. I might do a bit. I'll do a bit. I'll just do it. Shall I just shut up? Fox, just do it. Shut up.
Bless you.
You're getting my brain working real time there.
Oh, no, that's scary.
I know. The one thing you learn is when you're doing sponge chipping, you start off with the world's smallest chips. By the end of it, you're so bored of doing it, you're like, I just get these big bloody chips everywhere.
Yeah, it's like... Yeah.
And you can see obvious patterns, because you're like, I'm bored now.
Yeah. That's the hardest part, is resisting the urge of getting a pattern going.
Yeah.
It's human nature at the end of the day.
Yeah, but imagine doing this on a bane blade. There's many, many surfaces.
Oh, mate, I'm looking at Insane Blade as you said that, thinking, oh, my God, what have I gone and done?
But just remember, doing it this way on a bane blade is much faster than doing it with a brush.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool, yeah. Yeah, certainly. Yeah. Yeah, next time Fox says, put all the sponsons on their car, it'd be no.
See, the thing is, like, I actually hate building the sponsons. So when I said put all the sponsons on there, a little bit of me had this little maniacal glee saying, hee, sponsons are awful. He's got to build them all.
Yeah, but I actually really enjoyed making them.
Yeah, I must admit, the last bane blade I built, I had no mojo at all to build it while I was building the track units.
Yeah.
But then once the track units are done, I'm like, right, now I can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right, there we go. Now this looks absolutely terrible right now. But remember, it's like a half-finished ink and watercolour drawing. You've done the simple basic outline, you've added the watercolours, and it looks terrible till you do the proper outline. So don't panic. Don't panic! The trick is going to be getting the chipping on the red area to look even remotely like this chipping.
Yeah.
It probably won't. It'll probably look different because you'll do it by brush, but it'll be fine. La, 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 la. Shellard, says Paul Lewis. Shellard's in.
Well, the thing is, if it isn't fine, we can just blame Tony.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the order of things, isn't it?
Exactly. If it goes wrong, it'll be like, how's your tank going? Well, you know.
It's all going wrong.
It's all going wrong for me now.
Oh, dear.
Look, it's up your nose.
Yeah.
Sausage factory. Oh dear. Inside baseball. We're cruel. Now. You love it.
I can hear it now.
Shut up, dog. Right, so that's that bit done that side. Yeah, I'm not doing this bit here because this is where we'll paint our stripe later on, so we'll have to try and make sure things match up.
Yeah, there's a deliberate area that we're not doing in case anyone's confused.
Yes. Now, I've put chips around the edge, but it might be that we paint that bit red and white as well, but I'm just hedging my bets.
So what you did there, hedging your bets.
Hedging my bets. Bets are being hedged. Oh, hedging. Oh, I see what you mean, yes.
I know what I meant.
I forgot. It was Talk Like a Pirate Day last weekend. Today it's Talk Like a Southerner Day, so... What?
Oh, yeah.
Oak, it's an oak.
It's oak, isn't it? Oak turquoise, isn't it, Fox?
Oak, flappy oak, what?
Oh, that was so sweet.
Oaks don't have wings, what are you on about? No, not an oak, you...
Games Workshop do oak turquoise. I haven't heard of that. Oak.
Why would oaks need turquoise? It's not an oak colour.
Oh, that was hilarious. He did. I held the bottle up and he went, should have guessed. Yeah. Oak turquoise. Yeah.
And then I was like, why would oaks need turquoise?
Yeah, an oak went for a walk, holding an oak with a bottle of oak turquoise in his pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he met Peter Falk.
See what he did there?
See what I did there? It wasn't very good, was it?
Yeah. Who was with Skipper Ted, known as Edward Hawksworth.
Hawksworth.
Say?
That's a proper Cumbria name, that, isn't it?
Oh, isn't it just?
Ted Hawks. It's just like Ted Hawksworth is like it's like one of those things where you get a video of like 1970s things like countryside walks and rivers with Ted Hawksworth.
Yeah, he's proper out of town Jack Hargreaves, isn't it? You know, it's
just that kind of always the kind of name where it's somebody who paints like countryside scenery.
Yeah, Bob Fleming. Here's my friend Ted.
Right, this oil painting, it's The Falls Near Kendal by Ted Hawksworth.
I just love it when he does his accents. It's like everything's got a tinge of Barra.
Yeah. Here's an American. That's somebody from Barrow. Okay, here's a French man. That's pretty much Barrow. Or if he does one well, it actually sounds like Hull rather than Barrow.
Yeah. Oh, it's sweet when he started dropping his H's, bless him. Oh, he's funny.
Picked up your accent.
He has, isn't he?
But you can tell he's a Cumbria because he goes, no.
Yeah. Go blimey, governor, he goes, but in the instinctly Ted accent.
No, go blimey, governor.
Apples and pears.
Oh, I say apples and pears, my friend. Hello. Now, the one downside of doing the sponge chipping is it can come out with a texture sometimes. It come out a little bit rough and textury sometimes. Well, don't panic.
Yeah,
too
but
much.
then don't forget, I suppose when you've put a bit of pigment on it, you're getting the texture anyway, then, ain't you?
Yeah. It will sort of lumpen your nice and smooth, shiny paint surface, but don't worry too much. Again, there's so much to come on after this that it's not worth worrying about. You will get some big chips. They're fine. We all like big chips.
That wrong, big chips, mate.
Crinkle. Why is it right? Is it just me, or do crinkle cut chips? I don't like crinkle cut chips because they don't taste like. They taste weird compared to regular chips.
Yeah, they don't taste like chips.
No, but I don't know why them being crinkle cut would make them taste any different. But they do. They taste like, I don't know, chemically. I don't know. I don't like crinkle cut chips.
No. They taste manufactured.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Processed.
Yeah, it's like processed peas. They're rubbish. They don't taste like peas, but
Yeah.
it's like, what peas? Are we having peas with it? Yeah. What peas are we having? Processed peas. Marrow fat peas.
Garden peas. Mushy peas.
Oh,
That's
mushy
man's
peas,
best friend.
Yeah, mushy peas or garden peas. Mushy peas are great. But then again, mushy peas don't taste like any kind of pea.
No.
They have a certain brownness to their flavour that doesn't come from peas that I've ever noticed. So what do they add?
And
to
also, is it me or has mushy peas flavour changed?
I don't know about that, But there is
This doesn't seem the same mushy pea flavour I remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but there is a certain flavour to mushy peas that I can't quite explain because it's a certain brownness to the flavour. And it's like they must add something to them to give them that because...
Yeah, that's got to be the oil from the roller then that mushes them.
Could be. Yeah. Put it through a twin pot engine.
Just imagine it. I fell into a vat of mushy peas once.
Make me even more boring. I've broken him.
Oh, God.
Oh, we're just going to hell.
Oh, go to hell. I think we're already there.
Yeah. Do a vat of mushy peas. Oh, God.
Oh, dear. Oh, bloody hell.
I don't know where that came from, but that was a moment of genius, that was.
You know what's going to happen when we come off air, don't you? Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get a message out there from somewhere.
Oh, don't worry about it.
No, we won't. I don't care. Anyway, moving on. Rather swiftly. Everyone's saying hello to Ray. What have I gone and done? Says McLeish. You listened to Foxx. That's what you've done.
See, I've got one I can do for you.
Oh.
Underneath the arches.
When the arches, but no one was interested. Didn't even make 50p.
Oh dear.
Bought a car. The engine was flat.
You bought a car that didn't have an engine. Oh dear, oh dear. We're easily pleased, didn't we, mate?
Oh yeah. Nobody watching this knows what the hell we're talking about, and that's just the way we like it.
Yeah. Probably a good thing.
Yeah, it's for the best. Right, do this side bit, and then we're onto the turret, and then don't forget to do your weapons and stuff, and your turret lid.
Oh, good shout, yeah. That's the point. Where is my turret lid?
Here we go. It's in your box of sponges. Don't.
Oh no, it's over there on my model grabby parts thing.
Grabby parts.
I grabbed some parts once.
Mandibles. More peas.
Oh mate, that was the best puppet ever on Spitting Image, wasn't it? The John Major.
I love the fact that A was black and white.
Yeah.
But B, that whenever he showed him and his wife Norma, it was like all just like sitting there pushing peas around, and it was just peas on the plate.
Nice peas, Norma.
Nice peas tonight, Norma.
Oh. I like peas.
You do that voice so much better.
You're a pea.
Got a pet rock. Didn't like me.
Oh, tick tongue. Got up in the morning and it had left. I thought things were on the rocks.
Oh dear. Everybody stops watching.
Yeah.
Nobody's got a clue what we're talking about. That's what makes it better.
Oh no, it's brilliant, isn't it?
They'll just make the same character up out their minds now.
You got to watch it. It's John Major from Spitting Image. Oh, more peace, Norma. So you see what I did there? That's good, isn't it?
I see what you did there.
Paul J. Lewis is just giving you a super chat there, mate.
Oh, £10 from Paul J. Lewis. Coinage for Orc Eats, Orc Pies, Orc Scratching, Sweet and Sour Orc, Roast Orc and Stuffing. Yeah, it made sense earlier. Paul J. Lewis, you are a lovely fellow. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you, as well as being a member as well, which is brilliant. So big hugs to you. You earned yourself a Mama Fox hug. She doesn't know about it, but trust me, it's worth it.
I like orcs, but they don't like me.
Everybody knows the trouble I see. Oh. Because I've told them. Over and over again. We should stop now.
Oh dear. What am I doing? I don't know why I've just got up. Oh yeah, that's what I was getting. I was getting there you go. I was getting the tank flap.
Same to you, tank flaps.
Right, let's get my flappage of the tanky kind.
Asked Airfix to send me a kit once to build. They said they didn't want their reputation damaged. For quality. I may have to switch to a new piece of sponge.
I've got a 2-part kit of Lego, there was a piece missing.
And the other piece didn't fit. He's got a clue what I'm talking about. The state of this piece of sponge now.
I'm going to pop a rib in a minute. Thing is, I could see that happening. Oh, God, I need to get out more.
Yes.
Oh, that's...
Yes, remember when you paint it... Go on.
Did we known oil then?
Yes. Did you forget to do that? I bet you didn't.
No, I don't know. It just looks a bit bright.
Yeah, because we did exactly the same as we did on the bodywork. At least I did. Some of us did.
Some of us did. Not fair. It's always picking on me. I had a friend once.
Just leave it at that. I had a friend once. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, I got his image. Oh, God.
Jehovah's Witnesses came round and knocked on the door and told me to go away.
Yeah. I've got his image of me in the vat of messy peas.
Can't get up.
Can't get out. Help.
If you like peas and you like cheese, you'll love these. Cheesy peas. It's peas, it's cheese, it's cheesy peas. Colin definitely needs to get out more. He's run out of peas.
Oh, I do. Honestly, been home alone. I think I'm on weird level 10 now, mate.
No, there'll be no peas in our time.
Are we chipping guns and shit?
Yeah, because some of the if we keep the casings on the weapons, I don't know which bits are actual casings, so you may as well chip them. And then any bit that's left back as case, like on the bolters, you've got the casing on the sides and top.
Yeah.
So even though we'll paint all the other stuff, at least then the casing will be chipped for later.
All right. Happy days.
Remember, you can go a little lighter on the chipping on the turret because it's up in the air. So.
So it is.
Oh, Bayek! Up and see the eat gran whip. It's black pudding. Bayek! Go to foot of our stairs. Having said that.
I've just got the giggles now. Every time I try not to think about it, I think about something else, and it's like.
Handy tip: if you're putting chipping on a spotlight, try and avoid getting the chipping too much on the lens part, because this will add a little bit of a tiny blob of paint, and when you're painting the lens, it'll be a little blob that's a physical lump. So try and keep your chips off the lens part if you can.
Mark Shellon said, has someone left the nitrous oxide on because these two have the giggles, something rotten? Yeah. We're like this. Something creeps into our head.
Yeah.
And it becomes a chuckle belly moment, doesn't it? And that's it. We can go for hours on it then, can't we?
The problem is it's all an in-joke that we can't really tell you about. So just make up your own stories, because we can't really tell you what we're actually talking about. But it's very funny, trust me, if you knew what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Make up your own stories. There's a hair on my sponge.
I don't know whether I told you about the famous one on Messenger. I'll send it on Messenger.
Yeah, probably safest if it's.
But I know it'll give you a giggle.
Oh yeah.
That's.
Yes, you can go a bit lighter on the chipping. On the turret, I'm just really sticking more to edges and areas where there might be movement, like, say, the guy getting in and out the turret, or hinges, things like that, because there's less trees and things banging into the turret. I was in the army once, got a George Cross. He wouldn't speak to me for weeks, says Andy McLeish. And it's good we're getting there, because this sponge is just about coming to the end of its useful life. Sponge.
Am I tight for washing mine out with Master's brush cleaner?
You're a clamp hand. I won't. I'm washing me sponges.
There you go, check your Messenger.
I shall have a look in a minute. Not right now, because it might risk sharing the screen.
I think it'll give you a giggle. I might have already mentioned it.
Yeah, I shall have a check after the stream, just for security purposes. Do 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 do.
That's your anti-spillage device printing nicely there.
Ooh, for my little pot, my little oil pot.
I've got one of them that I'm printing. Ooh. And your Set and Soul
lovely.
Anti-spillage.
How much am I sending you?
Nothing.
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 How much am I sending you?
Think what recently arrived.
Oh yeah.
Nothing.
Right. So how much do you owe me?
1,511,012.
Yeah. My entire Deathcore Krieg army was printed off by a very good friend of mine who gave me 35,000 points of Deathcore, or £500,000, as Forge would say.
Yeah, you're getting some filament prints. You're getting a goodly few resin prints.
Filament. Filament's good for like your utilitarian stuff, isn't it? Because it's just quick and.
Oh yeah, things like your anti-spillage devices, and these are all 3D prints.
That's
pretty
kind of
much everything's a 3D print.
That's kind of why. I mean, I imagine I don't do 3D printing, but I can imagine it's always a good idea if you can afford it to have a resin printer and a filament, because then you can do your expensive resin prints for things you actually want to make, like models and stuff. But your filament printers for your bits and things and. Tools
like I said to you before, if it's stuff that you need to be strong, storage box, bit like the one I made for my rivet tool and things, and things like all these glue holders and things. Use your filament, but if you want to do highly detailed sculpts, then that's where the resin comes in. And I'm lucky; I've got both. There was a couple of £100 each, and I did it over a year. Got one, then got the wash station, then got the resin, the resin printer. And
well, that's the thing, the filament's just for stuff that you don't care what it looks like, because you're going to use it in some way. It's a thing, it's a tool or a device, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, they come out reasonably smooth, Yeah, so they're all right, does the job.
But if you're making something that you're going to, paint or put on a shelf, then it's for your resin job.
Yeah,
I would assume that resin is a lot more expensive than filament.
30 quid a litre. There you go. That's your Set and Soul thing printing away quite happily then.
Can't hear it. It's great.
Yeah. So it's doing its thing.
I need to wipe my nose because I've got the dribbly sniffles.
Yeah, don't want to be. Don't want to dribbling now.
And of course, when you got gloves on, it makes it worse.
I can see up there. God, we are going to so going to hell. We really are.
There's two sailors having a conversation, and one says to the other, "Have you ever sucked on a fisherman's friend? They may be small, but they last for ages." Says Andy McLeish. You didn't need to ask, really.
No, that's it. I didn't even have to look up to see what name that was. It was like, yeah, that's Andy.
I do like the fact that Mark Shellard's autocorrect has changed the meaning of his... Because he says, has someone left out the notorious oxide?
Yeah. Believe you, mate, with us two, it would be notorious excise. Oxide even.
Shellard says, not mushy peas, but I do like my sausage battered.
Yeah.
Get and stand outside the classroom for telling jokes in class, says Shellard to McLeish. McLeish says, Shellard! No. Right, I've just got to do my weapons and me lid, and then I'm done.
Weapons. Get your weapons here.
Die Weapon, ja, das ist richtig.
It's a Leman Russ, isn't it?
Yep. If when you're doing this kind of chipping, if you start to find that you're starting to get just big fat blobs of paint, even though you try and get all the paint off, it just means that you've bunged up all the pores now, and there's no little... It's like Swiss cheese pattern. You want to get the edges, not the holes, and you just filled them all up with dry paint now. So just move your... Change your sponge around, fold it in the other way on your thing, or just get a different piece of sponge. But you can just turn it around the other way, and you want you're wanting the bits around the pores, not the actual holes themselves. That's how it works, you see. And if you start finding no paint's coming off at all, then you've just been too efficient. Or you're applying it to the sponge like a namby-pamby person.
Like a southerner, that's what you was going to say, wasn't it?
No, no, because you have to distinguish between southerners and southern ponces. Southern ponce is not necessarily the same as a southerner. Like, you're a southerner, but you're not a southern ponce.
No.
One thing you would never be is a southern ponce. I can't imagine you in any kind of shoulder pads. And I'm pretty sure you probably never had a Filofax.
No, but I had a mullet. But then everyone had a mullet back then.
No, I didn't have a mullet, but I had a Filofax, to my shame.
Yeah, you also had something else to your shame, but we won't go there.
You will, eventually. You know you will.
I know I will. It's one of them. I reckon it's still in one of your drawers somewhere.
And I was bought my Filofax by my parents for Christmas one year because I was like, wow, thanks.
Did it have all the additional inserts that you could put in as well?
Diaries, notes, like all different types of paper with the different lines and things. It was great. It was actually quite handy.
The dividers?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I seem to know an awful lot about Filofaxes.
I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah.
No, I didn't have one. I think my sister did, if I remember rightly.
Blame it on your sister because she's not here to defend herself.
Absolutely. Hell yeah. It's like, yeah, guilty, bus, under, defo.
Colin's mum's like, you never had a sister, shut up.
Yeah.
Right, so that's that done.
Yeah, these sisters that you speak of.
I'm not sure what colours are going to go on the plasma weapon, so I'm just going to kind of... I don't know if there's a fair casing on it or not, or if any of it even remains grey. So I know the tip of the plasma weapon is a bronze colour, the sort of the flat tip bit, and I think there's a bit of casing on it. So I'll just do the body of it.
Got a tit on it, isn't it?
Got a tit on it.
Never forget your reaction on that. So why am I streaming with this bloke? Yeah.
If you're doing the plasma weapon though, try and make sure you don't get any paint on the plasma coils, because again you want them to be smooth later on.
Yeah.
When we do the plasma coil effect, get the plasma coil effect in the 40-watt range. I don't know what the voice
Get
that
your
was.
plasma coils. Get your plasma coils. How sweaty are your hands in these gloves?
It's fine.
Isn't it? It's
I like being sweaty. I mean, I like wearing gloves.
Glove sweat. Oh.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Glove
It's
sweat.
funny. I've got the transparent ones that I use when I'm resin printing.
Oh, that's
I
great
can
to look
remember
at.
once I did a video or started filming an episode of a video, and I had a pair of the transparent gloves to hand, so I put them on, and I was about 10 minutes in and thought, actually, I don't really want to be videoing wearing transparent gloves. It's not good.
If anybody out there is ever filming wearing gloves, for the love of dog, don't use transparent ones, because all you get is the sweaty, weird hand, and it's just kind of gross.
It's scuzz McScuzz. It's like,
Yes. Perf hand. Next station is Yasso Inabar. Yasso Inabar, next station.
Herv Panzer says the Filovax you speak of has probably got that clip-on ponytail wrapped round it. Perhaps it's used as a fastening device.
I really must try and find that ponytail. I'm going to have to find that ponytail, aren't I?
Yeah, like you're going to struggle to find it.
I think I know where it is. Right, I finished my highlight chipping. Are you still chipping, or have you done?
I'm done.
Have you?
Yeah.
Do you finish faster than me?
Mine looks like a Picasso, mate.
Wow, there's like something like a tremendous wind outside, and there's like cows flying past the window.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Picasso, but hey, you know, it's chipped.
But tell you what, let's zoom in. Do you want to do mine first or
please.
yours first?
Yeah, I was going to say, get mine out of the way then. Yeah, it's not the greatest.
Oh, shut up. Looks fine to me.
It's kind of polka dot, but hey,
Polka dot. Have you got lots of little tiny ones on the middles of panels and things, and just here and there?
No. I'm going to brush them on later.
Oh, okay. I mean, you could just spend a few minutes just doing some little tiny, like, just so you've got little speckles and things.
Yeah. So that's where we're at
good.
with that.
Looks good. Remember, chipping's completely subjective. It's however much you want it to be chipped.
Exactly.
Mine is, you can see there, I've done the same as you. I've got like quite a lot, where is it, there?
Yeah, around the front edges, yeah.
So just kind of, I've made sure I've put lots of little speckles in the middle of panels and things as well, but most of it's on edges. Went a bit heavier on that one because the sponge went a bit fat. But these big lumps here, it looks a bit rubbish, but once you start putting the rusty bits in the middle...
Yeah, I've got a similar thing down on the corner of one of mine. It's like... Oh.
You get these blobs, but then again, that's what I'm saying, you get to blend them in. We've got a big blob there. Big blob there that went a bit wrong, but again, once it's got rust on it. I went round the edge of the turret and stuff. I did a lot on the front, as you can see there.
Yeah.
So you can see the effect there of that's like the black paint scraped away and left the grey paint underneath, which, because it's clean, is lighter. But we need to do something with that yellow, because that yellow doesn't really work with the grey.
Yeah.
So
I see what you mean.
Yeah, we'll sort that out in a minute. On the turret, same again. I went a little lighter on the turret. But it always looks weird at this stage, so don't panic
Yeah,
too much.
most of mine I did towards the front edge and the underside of the turret.
Yeah. I did it
Where stuff's probably kicked up and caught the underside of it.
Yeah. Right, well, if you're doing that little bit of sponge in there, that gives me a minute. I'm just going to go and...
Yeah, I'm just putting a couple in the middle of the panels because I know I'll get told off.
I'll put you on full screen because I'm going to be away from the microphone for about a minute, so bear with me.
Yeah, no worries, mate. You do what you got to do, mate.
Bear with me.
Yeah, so I'm just literally tapping a couple of bits in the middle there. Oh, yeah, I've got my door as well. What am I like? A bit round the handle. Handles for Foxx. So, yeah, get a bit more on there. A little bit just on there. I'll tell you what I'll try and do. Try and get a bit more on that. Yeah, no worries, mate. A little bit more on there. There's another handle somewhere. Ah, there it is. Try and get a little bit round there so it looks like that's been trodden on. Where he's had to try and get the handle open, he might have kicked it a bit. Giving himself the ump with it. And try a little bit more round there because I can get the buffing pad on the other corner. Where's that horrible bit? Just there. There you go. Try and get a bit more in there. There you go. You read your messenger, did you?
I am returned.
There you go.
Right.
A little bit more on there.
I have something to show you. Do you want to see something?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Hang on.
You've still got me full screen, mate.
There you go.
Oh, no.
That is my ponytail from the late 90s. And it's actually a lot longer than that. It's just because it's been stored in a drawer. And Mama Fox braided it.
Oh, I am so impressed.
Now, Mama Fox kept that. I didn't. Mama Fox was like, I brought it home to make her laugh. I said, what do you want to do with that? And she went, I'll have that. She's kept it in a drawer.
So is that the real one, or is that the
this is real. This
fake one?
This is real man hair. Still with the original bubble that I would have put on my head. I would have put that bubble on this ponytail at like 1997, 98. But it's been sat in a drawer for almost 25 years now.
My missus has got mine in a bag somewhere.
And you know what's really weird? I kind of washed it that morning. It still smells like it's just been washed.
Yeah.
So there you go. That is my...
Mine probably smells like fag air. I used to smoke back then.
Yeah, 97, 2007, 2015. Yeah, 25 years old, that is. It's kind of shrunk a bit, but that was down to my butt, basically, in the day. So there you go. That is my ponytail. Everybody has now seen my ponytail in 1997. By the power of the internet and magic, you've travelled back in time and seen the back of my head.
That's witchcraft and tomfoolery all in one there, folks.
Paul Lewis says, I suddenly feel quite ill.
Yeah.
Panzer Cat says, it looks like he needs a good feed up. Poor ponytail. Paul Lewis says, I thought there was something different about this stream. McLeish says, the phased plasma rifle in the 40-watt range. Hey, just what you see, pal. Andy McLeish says he's have the unfortunate situation that his hands are too big for the gloves. You know they do different sizes, like small, medium and large.
Yeah, these are XL.
Are they? Yeah, I think these are large. Yeah. This is the sweaty bit now. You ready?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's minging, isn't it?
That thing when you've only got one pair of gloves left and you have to turn them inside out and leave them to dry because you haven't got any more gloves, but you need them.
Yeah,
then you get the sticky hands. Sticky hands.
Yeah.
Fox had a blonde streak. This was actually. That may have actually, because I did have a blonde streak, which was actually white. I had a white streak, and I can't tell if that was the actual remains of the white streak from the front.
Yeah, that looks like highlights, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that might.
Not that I would know what highlights look like, of course.
In my youth, I did have little sort of natural highlights like that. I had little streaks, but what I did was when I went to get my hair done, I got to put the streak at the front, so when I had my hair not tied back, it was down like that, it would be at the front, you see. But I think that might have actually been I had some natural streaks in my hair. So those are actual natural...
Makes me feel so much better about my metal mullet now.
What? Having a ponytail? Having streaks? I had a skunk stripe, basically.
Well, my ponytail was only in existence when I was at work because I had to tie my hair up because it was a metal mullet. Where I shaved the sides right back with the hair braided, it didn't look so, how can I say, bad at work, you know, so I had to wear it braided but with the braid tucked in the back of my shirt collar because...
Well, I mean, I used to, it wasn't often I actually had my head tied back. After I got the excitement of having a ponytail, I was like, right, but it's actually more comfortable to have my hair down now, so I just walk around with my hair down, flowing like a beautiful human being, a gorgeous example of manly hairness.
Yeah.
It was basically hair with Fox attached. I'm still full screen.
They used to come down to the IT basement and it was like, telly's in because it was like, Marilyn Manson or AC/DC playing. It was proper fun.
Did you have a Nokia in a holster on your belt?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's IT. 1990s IT department.
It was in a pre-made Nokia clip-on case.
Yep, I used to have one of them.
Used to just like, and then click it off.
Yep.
And you used to try and let the phone go as far away as possible just to see how strong the magnets were. And then you'd have to go and get your phone repaired because you had dropped it again.
No, you would never break a Nokia.
But they were rather bulletproof.
No one can break a Nokia. That's not how they work.
Yeah. Used to have a Razor flip phone as well.
Really?
I've
I
still
never
got
had
that. That's in the man drawer.
I was a Nokia man till I got my first iPhone, but
Yeah.
my dad's first ever mobile phone, because when he had a kidney transplant in the mid-90s, he had to get a phone so they could call him and say they're ready for transplant. He got a Motorola flip phone with a little pull-out aerial.
Oh, right, yeah.
You flip it
yeah, my
open, but
Bean
there's
had one of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Chipping done. It looks horrendous because it's really, really light.
Dappled grey pony.
Yeah, dappled pony. I've got a pony. La la la. So I think what we'll do first, this is where we need our delicate pointy brushes now. I would recommend. I wouldn't recommend your expensive broken toads. Go for
I've got an Archimedes or whatever it's called.
an artificer layer brush.
Is that the one?
Let's have a look.
Yeah, artificial layer. Got one of them. That's a medium.
I'm trying to find mine now. I can't find mine.
I've also got some.
I've got an extra small artificer layer.
Have you? I've got some really fine detail brushes as well somewhere.
Yeah. Basically, just want a small brush. The artificer ones are quite good because as long as they hold a point, that's the thing. And it's got a fairly big barrel on the brush to hold some paint in it. If it's like a Winsor & Newton 7 Series Triple O, they don't hold any paint. They're nice and they're fine, but they last about 10 minutes, about 10 seconds. So what I would probably suggest, now I don't know if you'll have this colour, but I'm thinking, stand back, I'm thinking now for the yellow. For the yellow on the striping, I'm thinking perhaps a touch of Dawn Yellow. I think you might have that one.
I've got that.
Oh, I knew you had it. Dawn Yellow. That's the one. It's a beautiful. It makes me think of like lemon sorbet, and then I really want like lemon ice cream. It really makes me think of lemon sorbet. Right, let's get the wet palette out. Oh, let's replace the palette paper, I guess. Oh dear. Oh well. There. Right, I need to get myself some fresh palette paper. What is that?
What's what?
I thought there was a dead thing on the inside of my palette lid. It wasn't. I guess I need to do a fresh piece of palette paper. That's a pain in the bum.
So
no. Screw it. I'll stick with it. I'll do what I've got.
Move me sponge.
Sponge. It's a bit of a messy palette, but I'll stick with it. We need to.
I ain't nothing wrong with a messy palette, mate.
Well, it's not got a lot of space on it, but.
At the end of the day, mate, it's you know.
Yeah, I might have to do a fresh piece of palette paper. Ooh, hello. Right, I'll get that palette paper off.
It's a working palette at the end of the day.
Yes, I need to get some more paper. Which means
I'm lazy. I keep mine in the top, mate.
I do? No, this is. I'm cutting this myself, so.
Oh, you're using your other wet palette, yeah?
Yeah. I've got the other wet palette, but that's not set up yet. So. Now, this is why this is an old Games Workshop Tufts pack. The reason it's so brilliant is because if you get a roll of parchment paper that's 10 centimetres by however many metres, it's exactly the right width, almost. It would be normally if I use kitchen roll, but because this is sponge, it's probably a little bit too big, so I'll just take the top bit off.
Panzer says, let's have a vote. Who thinks that Foxx, now that he's found his ponytail, should wear it during the next E-model show? For all to participate in the mockage.
That would be gross, and also there's no way to attach it, but there's a hair on my wet palette. Get off.
Super glue would work.
Yeah, that wouldn't be ideal. Now, luckily, my palette's wet enough that I can just put a new piece of palette paper on there, but it's a bit too... Oh, fudge. A bit too... Oh, look, I've got some scissors. That's a point.
Could do with applying a bit of a moisture there, couldn't I? Because the whole idea of a wet palette, Cole.
Yeah. Now, normally I used to use like kitchen roll, just fold it up as my like sponge, but I've taken a bit of my wet palette, my army painter sponge, and cut it, but it's not exactly the right full size, so I have to trim this palette paper down a little tiny bit, otherwise it's too big. So I think we're done there. I think it should be wet enough. I might just go and give it a little trickle of. Tell you what, I've got my drinking water. No, I can't do that. It'd be gross. I'm going to get a little trickle of water. Back in 1 second.
Okay.
There you go. A nice wee trickle of water.
It's also interesting to note how my hair in my youth was actually a lot lighter and redder than it is now.
Yeah, mine was blonde up until I was about 14 and then just darkened.
Yeah, I was like, when I was a kid, I was like bleach blonde, like till I was about 10, and then it just went mousy brown.
Yeah.
Right, so there's the wet palette, all wet and nice and moist. Moist.
That actually sounded really sinister.
Right. Shut up. Right, so there we go.
We are so easily pleased.
I am very easily pleased. Now let's
underneath the
oh, keep knocking the camera. Knocking the camera. Oh, knocking the camera.
It's a Leman Russ. It's a Leman Russ. It's a Leman Russ.
The Leman Russ. Argos for all your Leman Russ needs. Right, so what we're going to do, get some of this little dawn yellow, which is a nightmare because it becomes this flat, thick, gloopy gunk in the bottom of your pot.
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it?
It's kind of a lumpen paint. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's really weird how it tends to clump up, doesn't it?
But we need a tiny amount, and it always makes me really thirsty for lemonade and cheesecake and lemon sorbet and things. My entire bench is now covered in hairs. Oh, God. Right, so. Right, where's my artificer layer? So what we're going to do, first thing we're going to do is get that hair off there, is the chips on the yellow bit here. I'll see if I can zoom in a bit so people can see.
Yeah, go full screen so the viewers can see what you're doing, geese.
That's probably a good idea. We didn't do that last time, did we? I forgot that bit.
Yeah, because then people can pick up on what you're demonstrating, mate. I can see you quite clearly, but the viewers might not be able to.
The zoom is on.
The rain has gone.
The rain has gone.
Right, so as you can see, we have black, yellow, and the grey chipping. The grey chipping looks quite, and it looks terrible right now, but it'll come together later. Don't worry. The grey chipping looks great on the black because it looks like the black's been chipped away. On the yellow, though, it's not really, doesn't really work as well. It fades the yellow a bit, but into a colour that isn't actually there because it's not fading it into the base colour. So what we're going to do instead is, we can't do this with a sponge because it'd be too haphazard. So I'm going to get some on the wet palette of this dawn yellow, and then have far too much water on the brush. And you want it to be not too thin, but not too thick either. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paint over some of these chips with this dawn yellow, which may actually not be bright enough, but we'll find out. And the trick is to try and keep them nice and small. Do you know what? This dawn yellow is not even anywhere near bright enough. Build them up, but try and have some big chips. Where you've got 2 or 3 little chips together, you can join them up like join up dots.
Yeah.
So try and have lots of little tiny dots, but make some slightly bigger ones. But try and keep in mind that thing that chips not being bigger than your hand, and make sure the yellow doesn't go onto the black. Now it's not really. I will leave some of the grey chips because it makes sense that perhaps under the yellow paint is the normal grey hull paint, and that may be exposed and then that might chip. So I'm going to leave some of the grey chips there just to keep it varied, but it just means that we've got this. There's a big patch of it there, so I can make a big chip. And the other thing as well is, even though I've said about, don't make chips bigger than the human hand, you can do big chips. I'm doing some big ones here, but I know that they're going to be filled in with a rust colour. And what you'll be left with is the yellow colour as a ring around the rust. So you keep that as a tactic in mind as well. So you can do big chips, but keep them keep the next step in the back of your mind. Like here I've got this big grey chip, so what I can do is I can paint it there, along that line. And then, because I can fill this with rust later. I've gone into the black a little bit, but I'm going to fill it in with rusty colours, so it doesn't really matter. Got some blobs there. I'll fill them in and I'll do a little one. And when you're doing like big blobs that you're going to fill in with a rusty colour like that, try and do some little satellite dots as well around it.
Yeah.
Can't really see this yellow. You'll see when it's hard to explain really, but don't just have a blob of your highlight colour. Do a blob and then some slightly smaller bits to suggest that, for example, something's hit the paint and taken a big chunk of it out, but then it's skittered across the surface and taken smaller chunks out as it's gone past.
You're good, you are.
I've got a bit there where the decal's ripped, so I'll fill that in with the bright yellow paint. There we go. Nice. Unfortunately, it's quite a light colour. We could have done with a lighter colour, really, but it's fine. So I've got a big one there, and I'll just do a couple of little smaller ones coming off it. We've got a big patch here. You can see this bit here is grey. So what I can do is I can make that into a big yellow patch. Here, same again. You might see it a bit better. Big yellow patch there. Oops, got a very shaky hand today. Which is not a bad thing, actually. Shakes is great when you're trying to do paint chips. So I've done a big yellow patch there. I don't know if you can see it. But what I'll do
Yeah, I can see it.
It looks a bit more extreme on camera, by the way, so don't panic. What I'll do is now, where the grey bits go down, I will now do little tiny dots to make it...
Yeah, look like it's something's hit it and rolled down the front edge.
It gives it some sort of movement and dynamic. It's not just one... Paint chips isn't just... It doesn't go and a flake of paint comes off. It's got little chips around it and bits and bobs.
Cascading chips.
Oh, yes. It's a bit like a crack on a window, you know. You get if you throw a stone at a window, you get the hole where the stone is, but then you've got the cracks that radiate out from it. Similar kind of thing with paint chips. You have a big hole and then little chips that radiate out. And we can do scratches and things as well, which also add to it, but I won't do it in this yellow because it's too hard to see. Where the decals come off there, I'll just paint this in dawn yellow.
You're good, you are.
There you go. I've got some on the black, but that doesn't really matter. Now, it's not brilliant, but in a way, you kind of fudge it, so it's kind of given us the effect that, because I've not filled every... Let's get that paint off there. I've not filled every grey chip with yellow.
No, you're just trying to trick the eye almost.
Yeah, but because I've not filled every... There's a bit here where the decals come off, so I'll just fill that in and then do a couple of chips. Because you've not filled every grey chip, and you can't really see it on camera because the contrast is too high, but what I've got now is I've got some light yellow chips, I've got the yellow paint, and then I've got some tiny grey bits where they've left little grey chip sponge chips. So it almost gives those yellow bits a bit of variation.
Yeah.
And a bit of three-dimensionality. And I've got some on this triangle here as well, so let's do that as well. I've got, right in the middle I've got a chip. So I'll fill that in, mostly. There we go. And then I'll do what I'll try and do is, on that red bit where that triangle is, I'll do a pink chip just at the edge of the triangle so the chip doesn't just stop where the yellow paint stops.
Yeah.
In the same way here, you've got grey chips on the black and then it becomes the yellow chips. It goes across the black and then into the yellow. They don't just stop where the colour changes because that makes no sense at all. So that's that bit done for the moment. So that's all we need for that yellow.
You're good.
Now's the fun bit. Let me come off full screen. Have you done yours? You've got your thumb palette. Hang on. You're using your thumb palette. Oh, look at that.
Thumb palette of goodness. Thumb palette of goodness.
The good thing is for doing chipping, you don't actually need the wet palette. If you're only using a little bit of paint, you could just put some of the paint in the little thumb palette and work from that.
I did.
Oh,
I did.
How's your yellow looking? Let's go full screen and see how you are full screen.
Yeah, just a tad, just a smidge.
It's not auto-focusing. Oh. There we go. Oh, that's good. There you go. See, so you see how just doing grey and yellow chips on that black and white stripe on the black and yellow, it now looks worn and scuffed. It doesn't just look chipped; it looks scuffed and worn.
Yeah.
Because you've not just done solid paint blobs; you've done almost like a dry brush with a sponge, and it gives you faded bits and edges. Muse is in. Hey Muse, big hugs to you.
I know there may be huggages issued back.
That's like the toilet we had in school. I don't know which we're referring to there. Panzer Cat says there should be a new song, Underneath the Ponytail. do. Hey Muse, what, I've seen it. Shall I show Muse?
Yeah.
Muse.
Yeah, Marcy, just one thing, mate. You're not drinking a hot coffee, are you, darling? Oh, he's still got me full screen. Let's go back on the dual screen.
Sorry.
There you
I
go.
always forget. I showed everybody else, Marcy. Colin was asking.
I'm gonna put you full screen.
Colin was asking about me. I need to zoom out then, don't I? Hang on.
Yeah, you're about to be shocked here, Marcy. So put the hot beverage down, darling.
Yeah, Colin was asking about my ponytail when I was in the 1990s. So there it is. That is my actual ponytail from 1997. Real hair. It's my hair. It's not the fake one. It's my actual ponytail. Mama Fox wanted to keep it, so we keep it.
Part of me knows that inwardly...
Oh no, she's driving. It's even worse. I hope you're not...
Yeah.
Hey, you shouldn't be driving when you're watching this.
Part of me knows deep down you would so love to reattach that.
I would... Deep down, I'd love to have a ponytail, but I realised... I had to have a grown-up, mature moment when I came to realise that although I can still grow a ponytail, my fringe has gone far back from those days.
Yeah, that's what is known as the Francis Rossi effect.
Yeah. Although I'd love to have a ponytail, my fringe has made it impossible now. So.
Could be worse, mate. Your fringe could be as high as mine.
Well, yeah, there is that.
And then, that's when you start growing beards.
Have a completely bald head just with a ponytail.
Have a completely bald head with just one sideburn.
Oh, God. Right, are we ready for the next step?
We are.
We have about an hour.
We are.
We have about an hour. We might not get it finished today, but we can carry on with it next week, or you can finish it in your own time if you want to.
That's all right, mate. What colour's that, mate?
Right, the next step we have now is for, well, I'm going to use Rhinox hide.
Rhinox hide, yeah?
I think you've got that.
I have.
Now, you don't have to use Rhinox hide. What we're going to do, we're going to zoom in again. Hang on. Well, not just yet, because I've not got the palette out yet. We've done the paint chip, so we've created the highlights, the light patches.
Yeah.
But we want to make these patches to be like the outside of chips, because we want to show what's underneath that chip. Because when you've got paint chipping, not every single paint chip is just in the surface of the paint layer. Some of it goes down to the metal or whatever's below underneath. Some of it is it just cleans some of the surface paint off and you see clean paint underneath. And some of it's the actual substrate. We've added the clean paint underneath the surface paint. Now we want to add the substrate. And for that, I'm going to use Rhinox hide. But you can use other colours, like I said before. Depends what you want to show. Rhinox hide is a real nice, rich, red-brown colour. Like that. It works kind of well on a grey vehicle like this, but you can use other colours. We're going to suggest slightly rusty dull metal, basically. If you had a light coloured vehicle, let's say your vehicle was, say, a desert camouflage, something like that.
Right,
Then what you might want to do, instead of going for a brown, because a desert camouflage vehicle, it might be rusty because the steel is going to be rusty at the factory anyway. But you might want to say, well, it's not rusty, it's just kind of metal underneath. So what you do is don't paint it silver because that's rubbish. What you might do is say something like Mechanica Standard Grey as your chip colour, or a dark grey like Skaven Black Dinge, because that will stand out nicely on a light coloured vehicle, and it might be the vehicle's not prone to rusting. So do a dark grey. If you were doing, say, a green tank, this brown colour might stand out quite nicely. Or you could use a lighter brown to suggest more recent rusty metal.
Yeah.
But you don't want to go too far because it'd look really weird with really bright brown dots all over it. You're really just suggesting the stuff underneath. Now, if you imagine a tank's made in a factory and it's already rusty before it's even built, that's what we're going for. It's just a nice dark colour. The fact it's a rusty colour is kind of extra. So what we need to do is the following. I shall full screen it.
Go full screen, geez.
I'm doing that now. There you go. Right. So this is where the fun starts. Gentlemen, prepare your fun glands. Not those fun glands, the other fun glands. Yeah, not them fun glands, the other ones. Right, dead simple. That's where your fine brush comes in. What you want to do, get yourself your wee bit of paint on the brush. You don't want it to be, you want it to have a little bit thin, but not too much. You don't want it so thin it becomes transparent, but you don't want it straight from the pot, of course. All we're doing is we are selectively filling in these chips. So, for example, here, on this bit at the front here, what I might do, you've got that chip there, so what I might do is fill that in and sort of follow the shape of the light grey. So what you end up with is basically a chip within a chip. Now you might see on this one here, it's kind of a grey chip with a little chip on the top, so I'll do a separate little chip in that top bit and keep them separate. I don't know if it really comes out on camera very well, but hopefully you get the idea. What you're trying to do is you're trying to say, this is where it's gone through the paint. So you've got this dirty brown chip where the under area is, and the grey bit is just along the edge to suggest where you've got that edge between the dirty paint on top, the clean paint underneath, and then the metal below that, or whatever you're suggesting. If you get a chip on a corner, what you can do is, see if I can find one. You can just do a simple job of, say it's just, I've just done some chip in there, but it's not really going over the edges too much. Just run your chip along the edge, like that, your brown paint. But don't do a straight line, do it in little dots like that. Because then it look, I'll see if I can zoom in a bit more, hang on. It's not really in focus, but I'll focus it better. No. Because it gets. What you'll do is you'll then create lots of little tiny brown dots inside the grey chip. See if I can do it again. Let's try on the edge of this sponson, for example, here. So if you're not sure about this, if you have one that goes towards an edge, you can start by doing that. Little dots. This is where a shaky hand comes in. Do little dots of different sizes. A long one, a short one, a dot, a long one, and just do that. And it's really tiny. It's the kind of thing that nobody would notice, and on a webcam you guys probably can't even see it. But it just looks like you've got a nice grey chip, and there's the tiniest bit where it's just gone through, like you've just sanded it and you've just gone through to the base layer. So I'll fill in some of these chips, and it's just a case of filling them in. Now what you can do, if you have a big chip like you've got these chips here, you can fill them in, but keep them all a bit separate. So this one I'll fill in there, that one I'll fill in there. This one here, I might make it into two chips, so I might do a little bit of brown there, and a bit there, and a bit there. And it looks like three separate chips, but it's one piece of grey. And then on this one here, you've got a big chip on the corner. I'll do the bit on the corner, like that. And then I'll build it up to just make the light grey be a halo. But you don't have to fill it in completely. I'm going to keep the bottom bit as brown, and then have a bit in the middle, and the top bit brown there. And put another little chip there. And on this side, I can just bring that brown around the corner. Now, I apologise if this isn't really coming out on camera. It's probably not very clear. So you don't have to fill, if you've got a big dirty grey, big grey blob, you don't have to fill it with one big dirty grey brown blob. You can break that up into different blobs inside and suggest it's just 2 or 3 chips with the grey halo around it, and they all meet together, and there's a bit in the middle where they all meet. And that's all you're doing. This is all you're doing. Now, you don't have to do every single chip like this. You can leave some as the light grey, because that's where it's just skimmed the surface. And for others, just go in and fill them in as you wish. You're more likely to get the rusty metal underneath showing where you've got an edge. So try and focus on the edges for the bigger brown chips. Where you've got like a flat panel, like this door, for example, or somewhere else, you tend to get the down to the metal on surfaces that are in movement. So like on the edge here, you might have them scruffing against each other. So you put some brown in there. But the chips on the flat of the door, the paint may not have been scraped away enough to go down to the metal, because it's not a friction surface. So I might do a little tiny little dot, but not too much. So on the edge, where it's metal grating against each other, there's lots of rust built up underneath. On this bit, this might be just where the paint's bubbled a little bit because the rust is underneath it and it's just popped a little bubble. You know, like you get the bubbling, the leaching on the paint. So you can do that. So on flat surfaces, it's less prominent because on a flat surface, it's really where the rust has leached through the paint and made it bubble up. On the edge, it's where it's scraped away. So there you go. That's it. I shall go off full screen.
He's good, isn't he?
And it's all about keeping the paint the right thickness and having the best point on your brush. Go for a brush. Like I say, don't go for the smallest possible brush you've got, because that's not always the best idea. Go for a brush that's got a fine point and small, but that has a good barrel behind the point, so it can hold some paint. Like I say, Winsor & Newton Triple Aught won't hold much paint. You'll be refilling it all the time.
Yeah, holds a nice reservoir.
Yeah, a nice reservoir of paint. And when you get in your paint, do it on a wet palette, of course, as always. Don't just go straight from the middle of the pool of paint. Get it from the edge a little bit. Always work to the edge, because that's where you can get the paint slightly thinner. And just, when you get the paint on the brush, just twist the brush a little bit like that. And it just helps you keep that point. You don't need a lot of paint. You want almost nothing on that brush. And then just work your way around, and that's it. This is all we're going to be doing now for the next hour.
Yeah, I know, but it's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it. Now this is basically, if you didn't have any sponge and you wanted to do chipping, this is basically what you would do to put the... If we hadn't got sponges, we would have had to do this for the grey as well.
Yeah.
And that can be quite tedious, but also quite rewarding. So if you want to know what to, if you've not got a sponge, it's this technique, but for your highlight coat, and then the same technique for your rusty interior. And again, you can use different colours. If you're painting, like I say, a World War, say, German Africa Corps tank, that might not be rusty underneath, but you might see the actual whole red primer colour underneath the rust.
I mean, this technique is really good for my shakes, because my shakes actually come in really handy.
Yeah, it also helps if you want to, like if you don't have shakes, you can hold the brush further away. At least when you do, if you're brush painting the highlight coat, especially like this grey coat, when you're putting them on, hold the brush further away from the tip, and you'll find you naturally shake a bit and you get little dots. So yeah, having shakes does help a little bit with this. It's easier. It's more advantageous for the first highlight coat. It's a little more tricky for you with this because you're trying to be inside the other chips. And like where you've got here, there's a bit here where it's all... I'll zoom in again, hang on. Can't see through my lenses, hang on. There's a bit here where it's almost dry brush speckly pattern, because I did a few different bits. What you can do here is, instead of doing a big chip, I might do a big chip, let's say, off camera. I might do a big chip here, but then I'll just build the rest up as little tiny dots. Big chip there and little chips.
Yeah. Because
it's all really... These aren't big, like, solid grey areas. They're little tiny chips building up to like a cloud. So just do a few here and there. And it's just about trying to build that up and give it that kind of slightly mottled look. Now, again, keep in mind, it looks really extreme on camera. In real life, it's quite subtle. But the camera really messes up the contrast and makes it look like bright grey and bright brown and, and more extreme than it actually is. And just have fun with it now. As much or as little as you want. Again, you can use whatever colour underneath, because you might want to suggest if you want to suggest clean metal, you use a silver colour. Although, if you want to suggest, say, clean but not shiny metal, that's where you use a grey rather than a silver. Because once you put all matte varnish on, it's going to go grey anyway. And there you go.
And you can spend many hours doing this.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, there's one other thing I forgot to show, which we both forgot to do as well. I'll get some Administratum Grey on my... You can do this later if you want. You don't have to do it now. There's one extra step you can do with that original highlight coat. I forgot to do this, so I shall show it quickly. Let me go back again. Right, I forgot to show, and I completely forgot to do. We did all the chipping with the Administratum Grey. We didn't do any scratches.
No.
And scratches are dead easy. So I've got some more Administratum Grey on the wet palette, as well as a hair from my ponytail. Fantastic. Who would have... Just imagine if I got a hair on this now. Who would have thought that a hair that was on my head in 1997 will be in a tank that I made in 2022?
You should put one inside it.
Ooh, yeah. Right. So, if you want to do scratches, in the same way we've just done with the brown chips, you're getting the paint on a little bit thinner than normal, fine point on your brush, and all we're doing, remember how I said you want to do little dots if you're making chips? If you want to do scratches, it's almost the same. You can either paint a line like that, and almost not, I'm almost not touching the brush to the model. I'm letting the paint just flow from the brush. But what I tend to do is I'll do a line, and then I'll dot it out. There's a hair on my hand. Hang on, hair's everywhere now. Let's see if I can find a better one to show you. Let's do it on this edge here. So you've got this edge here. I want to do some scratches. Hairs everywhere. I can just do a line like that, but then I don't want the line just to go on as a straight. I want it to fade. So what I'll do is I'll do a little bit of a line and then just dot, 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 dot. And what you can do to create the scratchy effect is do lines that cross over each other. First of all, do lines that radiate out from a central point. So let's say something hit this tank here. You might have lines of, not all that, some of them are just dots. But you might have like dots that radiate out from that central point. So you can do a sun ray pattern.
Yeah.
You can have lines and dots. Might be worth doing this actually now rather than carrying on with the brown. And what you can do is, if you want just a fun little scratch you can do, is have a line that comes across like this, for example, like that. And then have another line that crosses over it, like that. That wasn't very good. And it's just having like two lines crossing each other sometimes just helps.
Yeah.
And not like crossing through the middle or anything like that, but you might have like a scratch here.
Yeah.
Like that, going across. And then one line might just go zzz, or like that. Just having lines crossing. And what you need to do is do millions of them.
Yeah.
So I would say actually, instead of doing the brown bit now, we should probably do the grey bit. The scratches. Yeah. So quick shift around, I think.
Yeah. In answer to Marcy's, what the F is all that noise, unfortunately, I was a bit warm, darling, and had to put my aircon on. I'm sorry, but, you know.
I can't even hear it.
He was complaining about the noise in the background. It's like, well, it is a bit warm in here, so apologies. But, you know.
I hadn't even heard it, to be honest.
No, I'm trying not to cook, to be honest with you.
That's more important. Yeah, so you might want to switch to doing your grey actual scratches and things, I think.
Yeah, I'll do that in a sec, mate. It's just I've got brown paint on my brush at the moment.
Brown paint on the brush. I can't sing that more than that.
No, you will get copyright.
Yeah. So I shall... So I don't think we'll get this bit finished tonight.
Yeah, our muse is gone now. Oh, well.
Oh.
But no, apologies, folks, but there are times when it does get really warm in here and I've got to put the aircon on because I do start getting a bit too hot.
I can't even hear it.
No.
Do. Right, so I shall...
Send your complaints to Helgan35
at geocities.com. Yeah, try and keep your scratches and things radiating out from chips is probably a best way. Not always. Sometimes if it's on a surface where there's lots of things moving across the surface.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you've got like a gun mounted to the side and people are pulling the gun off and putting it back, or there's a spade on the side and people are removing it all the time, then yeah, you can do scratches like that. But where it's like an impact scratch, have it radiating away. Another trick as well with scratches is if you get something like this, where there's like a strip of a surface, not like a big flat area, but like a ridged area like that. What you can do is just do a few scratches going across it at different angles, like that. Or let's say on this bit here, just going across there like that, one or two that way, and have some of them crossing over, and it just helps break it up a bit, and then maybe do a couple of chips in the middle, and it just gives it that kind of like, I can't explain it, but like when you have like a corner on a flat surface, the paint can chip away in that, and then it starts to peel away up and down the surfaces. It's like a weak point on the paint covering because it's going over a corner.
Yeah.
So you just have a few more chips. You can do little little swipey chips like that as well, little swipey stripes. But corners are often like a T-junction type thing, is where you can get lots of chips building up. Hard to explain. It's quite hard to explain, really. Yes, this will probably take forever. But this is real.
For such a small tank.
Yeah. But this is real fine work. I mean, this is where you might use your broken toads if you want to, if they're fine enough. You can do.
Yeah, I've got some Uber Duber super pointy.
Ooh, lovely. Good lad. So I'll just put millions of scratches on this thing now.
Jeff says, I'm back. Evening grub has been consumed. What did you have? What did you have? Tell us.
Oh, yeah, we need to know. I'll zoom in and show what I meant about the scratches. Hang on, let me zoom in again. You watch it. It won't work now. I'll do it wrong. Like this bit here. This area
Hold on,
here.
let's take the paint back off my brush a minute.
Beat the devil out of it.
Yeah, go on.
This area here. This sticky up bit. What I might do is put a line there. Very faint. A line there. And almost invisible. One there like that. And then a couple more. Just quickly across like that. And I'll build them up down to the bottom. Build them more to the bottom. And then I might fill in half of that with a chip. And then have a chip on the other side that kind of meets it a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're just getting this kind of... The paint's starting to break away at this point, and then you get the cracks in the paint going up. Yeah. And then in the middle down here we'll have a proper brown chip when it finishes. So you're kind of just building up.
Yeah.
Telling a little story. Like here's where the big flakes come off, and then it's just starting to crack all the paint as it goes up, as it gets further away from that point. It always seems to happen on corners, which is kind of cool. Now this thing here, this thing is a spring, so we'll paint that rusty colour later, so don't worry about that. And what I might do is just flatten that off with a dirty great big chip there, perhaps, that started it all off. Dirty great big chips.
Get your chips here. Pray for a pound.
You get the idea. You're kind of building it up to sort of it's directional.
Absolutely.
But this is all like the serious fine work business now. So if you want to ask us anything in chat, because this is delicate tiny work, please make sure to do at Model Making Guru or at Festa67's workshop in the chat. Otherwise, we really won't see your comment, because we're zoomed in like massively now. So
yeah.
If you need us to see your comment, you have to give us a helping hand. So just doing the odd scratch here and there.
Jeff Light says roast loin of pork with poached teddies, broccoli, green beans, and honey roast carrots washed down by a glass of rosé. Nice.
While I'm doing this, I can also go around some edges with the where I've not hit with the sponge. It's terrible. It's too thin. I know.
Oh, you know.
I know. I know. Quiet work now, this.
Yeah, it's yeah, we're uber quiet now, folks.
You know it's fiddly when I shut up.
Yeah, but this is the sort of thing we would normally do at the bench on our lonesome, isn't it?
Yeah. It's good to sometimes have streaks and scratches that go on top of other, go across other chips.
Yeah.
Because, that's how these things happen.
Well, this is it. Things will strike a vehicle initially, and then once the chip's formed, it might get struck again.
Yeah. See if I can find somewhere to do a proper radiating bit of damage.
Well, the temptation is to do it on the front, but of course we got our stripe that we're going to be doing, so we're limited until we get the stripe done, because we can then put damage over that, I suppose, can't we?
Mm-hmm. I shall do one here. And I'll show what it's like when I've done it.
Have you done it yet?
No, I'm doing it now.
Have you done it? Show me. I want to see
it works yet.
You've still not done it?
Not yet, lad, no.
God, what you been doing?
Scratching my ass. I've also got to make sure I'm happy with it, because these things don't always work.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Sometimes you try a radiating ding and it just doesn't come out at all. No, that's not really worked very well. Looks fine, it's just not ideal. I've got that tickle in my throat again, it's really annoying.
Jacqueline's in. Jacqueline Crochet Art saying good evening. Evening, Jackie.
Hey, Jackie.
How you doing, love?
Hello, Spud. Big hugs. There's a blackbird outside shouting. Sounds like you're playing the spoons.
Yeah, bit of the old Derek Geiler there. Get your washboard. Where's me washboard?
Derek Geiler. I'm going to tell you how it's going to be.
Mate, again, someone else in the 70s that made a lucrative career. Yeah.
Just out of having evolved. Well, he was an actor as well, I suppose, but.
Yeah, he used to always appear in the little sketches, didn't he? Was it Morecambe and Wise or something like that he used to appear in?
Okay, so I'll show you that one. It's not quite come out exactly as I hoped, but it gives you an idea.
Let's clean me brush again.
I'm showing the people. I mean, you don't have to worry about
Yeah,
yourself.
no. It's just I literally just put paint on me brush. Then carry on.
That one there on the corner of this sponson.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't look anything like it does in real life. I've just tried to suggest that something hit the sponson here, and you've got these radiating scratches coming out.
Yeah.
And it goes over the
Ricochets.
chips. Yeah. It's not exactly the best one I've ever done, but it just gives you the idea. And of course, this will have rusty brown in the middle, so it'll look kind of awesome. And when you do the rusty brown, you make the rusty brown radiate out as well down the arms, the limbs.
Follow it down. Yeah.
There you go. That's what I was trying to. It's not a very good example. Unfortunately, there's nowhere on this tank I can do a proper radiating blast mark.
They're the perfect thing for a Bane blade, isn't they? For the scale of one of them.
Yeah. Spot on, like on the glasses plate and stuff. Like somebody's fired an RPG round it. It's gone.
Yeah.
And it's taken the paint off a bit.
Panzerzowski, see you later, Panzer, mate.
Take care, buddy. Of course, you can add as much or as little of this scraping as you want. This stripes and not stripes, Fox. Scrapes and streaks. Go as heavy or as thin as you want. Of course, half of this will disappear when you put the weathering on, but never mind. Hey ho. This is our life now.
Exactly. And that's the thing, isn't it? Like you say, you can do as much or as little of this as you choose.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing with any weathering, and this may seem strange, but chipping does count as weathering because you're damaging the paint surface of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Effectively. Anything that damages the surface of the vehicle is weathering, but it's a way of telling a story. You know, if you do no weathering at all, and you just put some panel lining on there and give it some depth, then you're just saying it's fairly clean. It's just straight from the factory. Nothing's happened to it. If you give it a light dusting of, say, a tan colour, like a Tamiya buff or something, then you're saying, okay, it's been used, but it's been looked after by its crew. It's, you know, they keep it clean and maintain it. It's in good working order. It's maybe not been on the front lines for a while. But if you go in with loads and loads of weathering, you're saying, yeah, this puppy's seen some action. It's in the middle of a combat zone. It's covered in mud and scratches, and it's you know, in the
been around the houses.
Yeah, in the Warhammer lore, you see a Leman Russ going across the battlefield. That Leman Russ could be 800 years old.
Yeah,
these things, you know, they're made, and it could be thousands of years old. You know. Don't forget, Warhammer 40,000 is 10,000 years after the Horus Heresy. So,
right, yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, so that Age of Darkness set that I got.
Been running around for millennia.
Yeah, and the Horus Heresy is like 10 or 20,000 years after the Imperium of Man was formed, so these things have been running around. They probably don't last that long in reality because they're just like mass-produced, but, you know, you can get venerable tanks that have been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. In reality, they wouldn't last that long, but it could be very old. And if it's on a battlefield and it's been there for, you know, 3 years, it's not going to get a lot of repairs done. So they can, but that's the story that your weathering tells.
Yeah.
So weathering is a way to give your model some personality, give it character, in a way that you can't do on a clean model. Nothing wrong with clean models.
Oh no, it just depends. Like you say, if you're trying to tell a story, then
yeah,
like you say, if this has been running around in battle for 1,000 years, it's not exactly going to be showroom shining.
No. Also, as well, when you're doing this little sort of scratching phase, if you've got some decals where you've not really got many chips over them, just go over them with a couple on your brush. Or if you've got somewhere it's a very light chip that's sponged over a decal, just go over and repaint it with the brush just to break up the decal a bit. It's a good chance to do that because, you know, there's some decals here where they've hardly been touched by the sponge. Or they have, but it's really faint.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, you can use this technique to capture all them bits, like you say, that the sponge didn't get.
Yeah. And because the sponge is quite a light coat, of course, you can go over some of your spongy chips with this colour with a brush, and it just makes them a bit brighter, like on the edges and stuff. It's like an extra level of highlight.
Yeah.
And you can also use it if you've got like a little patch of tiny little chips from the sponge and they're all separate. You can always use this to merge them all together into one big massive chip that you know you're then going to later fill in with rust. So it's quite versatile. It's quite I totally forgot to do this bit though. That's why we went straight to the rust. I special.
Nothing wrong with being special, mate.
Special time. Special time with Fox. Fox's rules on being special. Do everything wrong, but do it wrong adorably. Thank you. That is my rule for being special. Dee 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 dee. Mama Fox still hasn't asked me to tell her where the cellar spider in her bedroom is.
Oh, really? She's
Still don't want to know.
Oh, inquiries haven't been made. Oh, wow.
No, I said, do you want me to tell? No. Okay. It's down out of the way in a corner. She'd never see it herself, so.
Bless her.
But this step we're doing now with the brush and the grey. It's so subtle. I mean, probably none of this is coming out on camera, but it's one of those little steps that once you've done the weathering, it really will be hard to see any of it. But you'll know it's there, and it will just add to the overall effect. Like, you know, you paint a little scratch and it's almost invisible when you put the weathering over the top. But it's still got it's something there. It adds to the overall.
It's still character at the end of the day.
It might not be as bright as it was when you first painted it, but it's still there and you can see it. So I'm just going over some of these grey sponge chips that didn't really obscure the decal much. I'm just obscuring the decal more. There you go. So when they have a rust on top, they look nice. And this little step is just, it takes it the next way forward from doing just chipping. Now, this is not basically, the one thing to realise, this isn't like when somebody paints all the chips and then does the highlight lines underneath. It's not that. We're doing it the other way to that. We're painting the highlight first and then adding the dark low light. But this bit in the middle is just to add scratches and stuff and a few other bits and bobs. Because the normal technique is to paint your dark chip as a scratch and then paint a highlight underneath it as if the light's bouncing off it.
Yeah.
That's not how paint chips actually work. That's not how light works. You see it, I see it on Space Marines and stuff, and it's like, it looks like pretend chips painted on. It doesn't look like actual. I mean, you know, keep in mind doing it this way is also a kind of stylized cartoon way of doing chips.
Yeah.
But it's just your brain looks at this method and sees it as more realistically chipped than the kind of two-tone stripy chips that you get on Space Marines and stuff. I've never liked that method. It doesn't seem.
Seems a little false.
Well, it just looks like things painted on the thing you're painting, rather than actual paint chipping. Because every chip's the same. You know, you got your dark brown line like that, and then the light grey line underneath it, or whatever colour you're using. And they all look. It's like no, because they're all the kind of same shape and size. They're all stripes and scratches. There's no chips. There's no faded patches. Because, you know, sometimes you want a chip and then sometimes you just want the paint to look like it's bleached a little bit and not fully chipped.
Yeah.
But doing it this way, you get all that variation. All the variations in the world.
You get all the chips, not just some of the chips.
You want salt vinegar on that?
Yeah, I see what you did.
Salt vinegar? Getting on there, buddy.
All right, mate. All right. Jackie says she's just had Mediterranean luxury fish cake with peas.
Ooh, peas.
Was a bit spicy and will be followed by homemade Bakewell tart with ambrosia strawberry custard.
Strawberry. Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, isn't it? What?
Do you know what I did yesterday?
Road trip.
Road trip.
What's that, mate?
Yesterday I was sat here and I was starving. And it was only like 3 in the afternoon, but I was ravenously hungry. So I was like, right, I don't want to make anything because I'll be doing dinner later. But I need to eat something. So I was a right student. I went downstairs and I ate a can of spaghetti hoops.
Oh, good, man.
Like, just open the tin, get a spoon, done.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I'm still hungry. So I went back downstairs and I ate a can of rice pudding.
From the tin?
Yeah, absolutely. Same spoon.
Good, man.
And I came back upstairs and I'm like, I feel complete now. This is good.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to eat like a student.
Yeah, but it feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah. How much? Coming up to 7:30, so we'll get this.
Come on, Bennett, that's gone quick.
Yeah, we'll get this scrapey streaks and scratches done, and then we'll probably call it a day. I've kind of mostly done on the bodywork now. I think I'm not doing streaks everywhere and scrapes, but just here and there, as much or as little as you want. I'll put a lot more on like the front of the tank. I'll show that, because this is where it can come in handy. Again, just for the viewers, really. At the front of the tank there. Get yourself your paint, and you've got all these like bits. I've spun. I've gone really heavy with the sponging. So all I'm going to do is just paint some little lines, very faint.
Right, radiate some lines down there.
Yeah, and get them crossing over. And it just gives you that. The paint's been chipped and faded, but it's also been scratched. Get some lines crossing over. And it's just like, oh look, they've driven over some really spiky, itchy bush, and it's just scraped the crap out of the paint. And try and focus it on this thing. I'm going to focus it towards the bottom, so I'll start really fine at the top and get heavier towards the bottom.
Yeah.
Because you get that kind of scratching. The scratching's going that way because it's driving over something. So you'll get more scratches toward the bottom of it. I might start some halfway along, and it's just then adding that little tiny scratch effect. I can't do it on the yellow, obviously, but I can do a few on the black. Just little scrapes that stop at the edge here because they're not going to carry on underneath. Oh, they might carry on, but we're not going to see that. And that just gives it that little slightly scratched effect. There you go. That's it. And then, again, as always, keep in mind, it looks extreme. It looks extreme now. You're thinking, oh, it doesn't really make any sense. It's always like light grey. It's like, no. Yeah, but once you get the weathering on top, it will all blend in. And there's one other tip as well, although it does depend on what colours you're using. When I was doing my Orc Wasbomb Dakajet, I was doing a red one. And I did all the paint chipping, painted it by brush, all the paint chipping highlights in pink. Because it's a red plane. I did all the same as where I did all the dark, the shading and stuff and everything else, and I did the chip highlights. And I got a bit too carried away and I had millions of them. And when I came down the next day and looked at it with the fresh eyes, it was like, that looks terrible. You've got this dark red plane with this pink acne all over it. What is going on?
Yeah.
So I was like, right, well, what am I going to do with that? I can't write the whole thing off. I was filming it. So it's like, so what I did was, I needed a way to tie the bright pink bits into the red of the plane without, and blend them, or sort of make them complement each other more, make them less, reduce the contrast basically between the two.
Yeah, yeah.
So all I did was, now this is easy for me because I use some bloodletter, which is a glaze. I got some bloodletter, Citadel bloodletter, which is a red glaze, and just brush that on neat. It goes on, because it's a glaze, it goes on nice and level and doesn't have any patchiness. But it also then, it darkened down the pink and made it a little bit more red. Yeah. And made the red brighter. So it basically tied them all together and made them less contrasty. Now you can't get those glazes anymore. So my advice would be, if you come out and that your highlight chips are just way too bright, then just try a glaze of a complementary colour to whatever you've painted.
Yeah,
if you've got
I did the Gilliman Blue, Way Watcher Green Bloodletter and Lamenters. But it's not the same, don't get me wrong, it's only game inks, but it still gives you a nice glaze. Yeah, I mean, a glaze is basically paint that's thin enough that you're just tinting the surface. You can buy glazes or you can make your own by just diluting them down massively. And the difference is that if you get like a shade or a wash, you put it on the surface, it'll go into the recesses, it will have light areas and dark areas. With the glaze, you're having such a transparent colour that you could slap it on and it wouldn't collect in the recesses. It would just be thin enough that it would just tint it. Yeah. And in my case, it was a bit of a red tint, very transparent. So if you're building, say, a green tank and you've done your green highlight chips and they're really too bright and contrasty, just get yourself a green colour that's between the highlight and the base colour. Yeah.
dilute it down massively. Don't use water. Use a glazed medium, like Lamia medium, or you Vallejo do a glazed medium. Use a glazed medium because then it's diluting it, not thinning it. And then you apply it really and that will just then, it'll make them settle together. There'll be less contrast.
Oh, right, yeah.
You can use glazes with oil paints as well. They're for, like, if you've got some people might do say a desert coloured, an armour vehicle that's got desert colours.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they might put, say, various things in it, but then they'll give it like a brown glaze, not a wash, but a glaze. And a glaze is just a tint. But if you've ever got too much contrast and you'll kind of, I can look at this now and I know what's going to happen when I put the weathering on. I know how it'll react and what will happen. So I'm not too bothered that the grey is really bright.
No,
but
that's right. Yeah.
After a while, you'll get used to it and be like, right, I know that when I put this weathering on, it's still going to be too bright. You'll get that knowledge eventually. And you look at it and go, yeah, I've gone too bright there. That's when you could do a glaze. On this, for example, if we'd gone too far, what you could do is you could do a blue glaze on this. Would be interesting.
Oh, that would be a strange one, wouldn't
But
it?
very, very, very transparent. And you probably wouldn't use a bright blue glaze. You'd probably get something like Thunderhawk blue, like a dull blue. Like that kind of blue, not like a bright blue. Not like Gulliman blue, but... And you'd glaze it, and you'd do it. And what it would do is it would make the whole thing have a hint of blue to it, so you'd go to a more bluey German grey, but it would also tone down that highlight. So if you ever do a highlight like this and you think you've gone too far, don't panic.
Oh no, blimey!
But that glaze it did on the Wazdaka boom jet, whatever it was, it just kind of it uniformed it all.
Well, it's a treat, didn't it?
Yeah, and it made the red. I was thinking the red was a bit pallid, and there was too much of a difference between the red base colour and the shadow colour from the pre-shading. But the glaze it made the red so much bolder and brighter. But then obviously made the pink more red and less pink. And it just really brought it all together nicely. If you watch the video, I think they're on Goblin Gaming's channel, because I filmed it for them, so...
That's right, yeah.
Patrons and members will have seen it. If you're a patron or a member, it's on the Patreon page.
Yeah, that's right. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, if you're a member, you can go to the members-only playlist, which is on my YouTube page. Go to the playlist page.
Didn't they let you put it on your own channel as well? Oh, no, you did, because patrons,
Yeah, but just for patrons and members. Because I knew I wasn't going to do it publicly, because I've got my Tabletop Trauma Centre one to paint, so that can be the public one. But yeah, you'll see it going through there. It just looks like some kind of... It looks like a nightmare until I do that glaze on it. It looks like some kind of real weird... I'm having a bit of a mental episode kind of thing. It's like, what?
Yeah, but that's where we was with our stompers, wasn't it? You get to that point on a paint job, you've got to hate it before you start falling for it.
Yeah. And that's the trick with any paint job. There's always times when you do a paint job and you'll be like, okay, I've gone a bit too far, it looks terrible, but I know what's yet to come and that might fix it.
Yeah, that's it.
And there's always times when sometimes that doesn't happen. You have to accept that occasionally you might do a paint job and you'll be like, I really hope the weathering so, and it doesn't. And you just have to accept that you've done a duff paint job. You've gone too far with something, and that's fine. At the end of the day, it's a plastic model. If it goes wrong, just...
Detto.
Yeah, dettle it, or just don't worry, because you'll have many more models in the future.
Exactly.
But...
Just repaint it.
Yeah. But a lot of times, the weathering and glazes and stuff will fix your sins, but some just accept that sometimes they won't. And people do panic about, well, I want to paint this model, but I'm really scared if I mess it up. It's like, well, what's the consequence? You've messed it up. So what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If you're struggling...
The key is not to overthink it, because otherwise you won't paint it.
Yeah.
So I said about Insane Blade and the Warlick, the more I overthink it, the less likely I'm going to paint it. So you just got to bite the bullet.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if... All you can do is, if model making is an expensive hobby, so if you don't want to just say, oh well, it didn't work out, on to the next kit, then don't worry, you just strip it, detol it down, paint strip it, and start again. If money's not an issue, then you say, okay, well, it didn't come out quite right, but I've learned a lesson, I've learned some things, and I'll keep it in my collection as
well, that's the beauty of this sort of stuff, because if it does go peaked on, you just bung it in a vat of Dettol and start again, because,
I mean, not on every kit, because some kits, like I wouldn't like to Dettol that stomper, because sometimes you'll get a kit and there's bits that you can't get to Dettol, or even if you could, you can't paint them again anyway. But like for minis and things like this, and for vehicles and stuff, and individual figures, you just repaint them.
Yeah, trying to Dettol them stompers, mate, would be a bit tough, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, at the end of the day, you're not.
Do you look at your stomper and go, "Oh my God, what on earth have I created?"
I look at my stomper and I'm like, "Is it Friday yet?"
It's mad, isn't it?
Yep. At the end of the day, you're not like that lady that tried to be helpful and repaint that thing in that church and made it out like to be a complete nightmare.
Oh yeah, the Messiah tile thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. At the end of the day,
that was so bad, wasn't it?
Yeah. If you make a mess of your model kit, you've not done that. You're not about to get told off by the entire Catholic Church and everybody in the world, and you're in real trouble.
And there's no way that can be rectified either.
No.
That is shonking, isn't it?
Yeah. I can't remember if she got charged, fined for that and jailed. I don't know if she got jailed, but I think there was criminal prosecution for it.
There was prosecution, wasn't it? Because it's an artefact at the end of the day, isn't it?
I mean, there's companies that do that kind of restoration and they mess it up, but she was just some woman. I think she worked at the church and she's like, I'll try and be helpful. No.
But then why did the church go, yeah, that'll save us a few quid?
They might not even known, or if they did, they probably thought exactly that.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever goes wrong with your model, you're not in trouble with anyone. It doesn't matter.
Oh no, we've all done it. We've made some major boo-boos on stuff. It's part of it.
Just don't ever forget that when you see me or Colin or anybody doing a video thing and we're painting and building and we're doing this, you have to remember there probably are things that have gone wrong on that thing. We just don't show it necessarily. Yeah,
I've got my bloopers archive.
Yep.
And that'll be released at some point because we all do it. It's like, that went well.
I mean, I've never lied about a thing if it's gone wrong, but it might be, for example, like say I've got a model, I've got 4 things on it to paint the same, and I show painting it, and one of them might not come out quite right, but the 3 look fine. So it's like, well, I've shown people how to paint it. If I can make it a teaching moment and say, this is how this one came out, this is why it went wrong, then I'll do that. But if it's nothing I can teach about it, then I'll just not show it.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, you do. I've got some classic ones that I've done over time. It's like, I really balls that up. But a lot of the time you can save it, a bit of weathering, a bit of this, but...
Yeah.
I've done it before in a video. I made a boo-boo. I can remember the best one I did. I did the Barry Sheen, Kenny Roberts motorcycle diorama, that iconic moment, and all of that lot. And I built the first bike and rider. I thought, no worries. So I went ahead and I built the Kenny Roberts bike, the rider. Painted him all and decaled, made my own decals, put it to one side and built the bike. What I'd neglected to note was it wasn't the original figure that came with the bike. Yeah. No. So, of course, when I went to put the figure on the bike, his legs weren't quite far enough astride and... Let's just say it was a poor fit and I had to cut him in half at the waist and then I faked the concertina in his levers to compensate for the big wedge shape where I had to bend the lower part round and shape it to fit the bike and the seat and splay the legs apart. It was like, so at the beginning of the video I done the usual Festa's made a boo-boo and just went through and went, I made this. As you know, I've painted it all and I've had to hang, draw and quarter him to get him to fit the bike. So I'll now show you how I'm going to repair him to hide that error. Well,
that's the kind of thing
was it.
That's the kind of thing you can make into a teaching moment. And it's like with my Age of Darkness set, when I did the pre-shading and I did the post-shading and I tried to use the airbrush to put some highlights on the figures, it didn't work. So I'm not necessarily going to show that, but I will explain in the voiceover. I'll say, now, before we get to this point, I was thinking I should just, because I filmed the airbrushing bit, and I thought, well, I'm not going to hide the fact I messed it up, and I'm going to do it dry brushing instead. But I've got a difficult choice as to, do I actually show the airbrushing bit and then explain why it didn't work? Or do I not show the airbrushing bit and just explain that I did do some airbrushing bit at first and it didn't work? Because my risk is I don't want someone to follow the video and I'm talking about airbrushing it and showing it, and then they do all that, and then at the end of it I say, but that didn't work, so don't do airbrushing, and they're like, I've just airbrushed it.
Yeah.
So I don't know the order to do that in just yet. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've had a couple where, like you say, you're spraying something, and then all of a sudden you get that horror moment of your airbrush bits, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to show you how to get rid of that. Yeah.
But with me,
it's so frustrating.
It's kind of like saying, I could show me airbrushing it, but I don't want to be the kind of guy that goes, how do I get to the police station? Well, if you go down there and turn left, well, that's the wrong direction. Don't go that way. I don't want to do that because I've already showed. So I don't know yet. I will. Yeah. I'll discuss it and talk about it. I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen, but.
Oh no, we all have
yes.
Happy little accidents, should I say?
I wouldn't say happy. This one, it totally didn't work, but.
Right.
But there's sometimes there's just stuff like, I might show painting something, and I might have tried painting something on camera and it totally didn't work, so I'll just put that to one side, get the other one that's the same and paint that instead, and not mention the one that didn't quite work because I can go and touch it up later.
Yeah.
But if something goes wrong, I'll not particularly hide it.
Oh, we've all done that. Is one we prepared earlier moment, didn't we? Where you might be, say for instance, a Bane blade. You might be painting one of the tracks, and it's not quite going as you want it. Yeah. But you've got one that you painted off camera.
Yeah.
And you stealthily just bring that into shot and carry on as if you've been painting it, and it's like, yeah, there you go, that's coming out. All right, have a look at that. Whereas the slightly shonky one is just over there.
Yeah, here's one we made earlier. I mean, it's like there was a situation once where I can't remember what I was painting now, but I know I was painting a figure for something, and I filmed it, but it looked like absolute ass. So after I'd filmed it, I had to sit there and fiddle around with it for ages to kind of keep tweaking it and bringing it back. And I thought, well, I can't show any of that because I didn't film the tweaking, because it was only like the next day I came back and thought, that looks like garbage.
Yeah.
So I didn't show painting the figure. I just said, right, I did film painting the figure, but it didn't work out, and here's why, and I explained it. But I thought there's no point showing the painting the figure because I had to do a lot of remedial work to fix it.
Oh, yeah. You sit there and you're like, oh, that went well.
Yeah, it went brilliant, didn't it? That all worked out as planned.
Boxfort Scoot says, just say this is how not to airbrush. Yeah.
Yes. Right, I think what we'll do, I've not done the streaking and striping on my turret yet, but I'll do that in a bit.
No, I'm going to do some more off camera.
Okay, I shall go full screen and show them what I've done, and I'll do yours. So as you can see,
Please don't.
Yeah, I will. So all I've done is I've added some scratches here and there. I've put a little bit of radial stuff there. It's really subtle. Yeah. I mean, this isn't subtle. This looks like it's got the worst paint job in the world, but again, trust me, once the weathering goes on, everything else.
Believe you me, mate, you're about to say worse than that.
yeah, but once we've done like the rust chipping on all over it, and we've done the weathering and stuff, this will tone down. It always looks really bad. It looks like it's been under a tree full of like seagulls.
Don't forget as well, we've got a big fat arse stripe to do on the front, haven't we? So.
Yeah, there you go. But I mean, that bit there looks like it's just been parked under a tree with all the birds in the world in it. But once it's weathered, it'll all come good.
That's some pigeon then.
all the pigeons in the world. So it will come together. Don't panic too much. So that's how.
Because I've still got my decal put under my turret yet and do that. So I'll do that during the week. Yeah.
Well, I've done some scratches and scrapes. You can see some down there. I've got some more. Oh, I meant to say this when I was talking about like you can make it look like paints kind of working together to start being painted and feed. On here is an example of when it actually worked quite well. You've got the little streaks, like scratches coming together.
Yeah.
And crossing over each other to make little islands of paint.
Yeah.
You get these islands of paint. That's the idea, because you've got some fading from the dry brushing. And from the what do we call it? The chipping that we did, and then the lines and streaks. They're not straight, they're not nice, but they're all kind of scratchy, and it will fade away and all blend. But you're trying to get these islands of paint sometimes.
Yeah,
it's a good trick.
Just makes it look more authentic.
Yeah, and because we did the highlights in these areas of the dry brushing all that time ago, that little grey island there isn't just one colour of grey. It's a bit lighter here than it is up there.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's the one trick to making your paint job look good when you've got things like blobs of paint, like chips like that.
Yeah.
When you've got a chip or a scratch that goes across an area and it starts off in a light area and goes across a dark area, you've got a colour that goes from light to dark, and then you've got this constant streak or scratch or chip over it, which doesn't change colour, and your eye just thinks, "Ooh, that's professional paint job, that is." It kind of looks quality.
Cool. Did you just use the word profesh on one of our streams, mate?
No, I shouldn't really. But... So that's mine. I shall go full screen with Colin, and he can show you his wondrousness.
I've not done anything around here yet because I've got my.
You're a bit off there, down a bit, dude.
I've got my name. Bear with me, mate. I'm stood up as well, mate.
Okay.
So I've got me. Let's just lean on me bench. Don't want to fall over, do I?
Don't fall over.
So I've got all my name and all of that lot to put on there. So I'm going to scratch all of that lot afterwards. Started along here, bit of chippage, bit of scratching in a few places.
Yep.
A little bit round these Harris.
You always like a little bit around the back, don't you?
Yeah, a few more here. I stuck a ricochet in there and then realised we've got a big stripe to go in there. So
It's all right, it's practice.
And then a bit on the turret there with a few dinks, scratches and chips to go in. So I've got me scratches to do.
Well, don't drop that turret. Don't snap that aerial again.
That aerial, mate, has been snapped more time than ever. I've got a bag full of them over there. But so that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
So
we're about.
But I've got me name to put across there. Once that's there, I can weather that down then.
What are you going to call it? Twiglet?
I don't know yet. I haven't decided. And then we've got some scratches up underneath the decal there. So
looking
getting there slowly but surely.
Looking fabulous. So it does look like at this point that we've had a load of pigeons in a tree above our tanks. But again, once we do the brown, that will tone down a lot of this grey, and then once we do all the weathering on the top, that will tone it down even more. Yeah,
that's it. This is that. It's almost like a polka dot tank at the moment. It looks like it's got a bad case of acne.
Yeah, and what we'll do is we'll either do like a dot filter, which is effectively a glaze, and that'll be a glaze to make everything blend together. Or we might just go straight to enamel streaking grimes, but again, it's to give like depth and character and dirt, but it will also act as a glaze kind of thing. So got a fair old bit of streaking to do, haven't we, geese? Yeah, well, actually not that much to be honest. On these, not too much. But
does that mean to say we get to play with our nice big bottles of trap rust?
Oh, yeah, that'll be one of the last things we do is the tracks.
Yeah, the trap wash.
Yeah, trap wash. That'll be one of the last things we do. I've decided. I've still not perfected my way of doing tracks, so it's a learning experience for me as well. Because
that's right. You was going to go for this newfangled Foxx technique, wouldn't you?
Well, I've done it a few times. I've tried it a few different ways, and I've never quite settled on the perfect way. So we'll try it this time. We'll be doing it after the fact, so at the end. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, these are a test mule, basically, aren't they? So
Yeah. Every tank I've done for the last year has been a test mule for tracks.
Yeah.
That's why I did them two Beyblades earlier in the year. They had like different tracks that looked different because I tried slightly different things on them. And
yeah, but isn't that the fun of doing it? Because you're learning new things. I mean, it's like anything. The whole idea we do this hobby is to learn new stuff at the end of the day.
I learned nothing.
You know, if you can't learn something new, then it's not the hobby for you, is it?
Nope. If you can't learn something new, then you've got a degree in baloney.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through my greebles decals and get that named during the week. So I'm going to leave mine on my bench to remind me.
I'm sure we came up with the name last time.
We did. I've got it written down somewhere.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
We came up with a few different names, didn't we? Based on the letters you had available.
Yeah, someone had said Moridor or Manidor. Then there was Iron Man had come up. Then there was Iron something else. So
how about Iron Nan?
Iron Nan.
Iron Nan.
Yeah.
Iron Nan. I can see thumbprint in the middle of my glasses. Right, but I think we'll call it there.
Happy days.
It's 8 o'clock almost, so I'll go on. I assume Mama Foxx had gone for a snooze. I tried to convince her not to.
She sneaked off again, is she, for a nap?
She's got to be up early tomorrow morning to go to the hospital all day.
Of course she is. Yeah. Could you issue Mama Foxx an additional hug then for that, mate?
Yes. But I was trying to convince her, like, have an early night tonight, but don't go for a snooze. Because if you go for a snooze, and then you'll have been up for like 4 hours today, and that won't work at all. So she said, I'm going
So
for
she's
tea.
totally ignored your advice and done it anyway.
Absolutely.
Good girl.
She's a
Good
terror.
girl.
She is a terror. So I'll go and see what she's doing and then figure out what we're having for dinner. Oh yeah, fish finger butties, I think I said.
Yeah,
By
no
fish finger
worries,
butties,
mate.
I'll get downstairs and see all the washing up and be like, yeah, McDonald's.
Yeah, we had one of them last night, mate. Oh, I was proper Big Mac with a Mackie D chaser. You know how it is, mate.
It's like I'll have the
So,
best
yeah.
intentions to go and do some food when I get downstairs because I tend to let the washing up pile up for like 3 days.
Yeah.
It's like when I realise I've got no plates left, I'm like, oh God. Right, McDonald's it is.
See, I'm sad. I find it really therapeutic loading and unloading the dishwasher, cleaning the cooker racks. I am sad. I need to get a life,
Well,
don't
you
I?
see, you've got a dishwasher, so you don't even understand washing up. We have a sink.
No, I sit there. There's still stuff we wash up. I've got a big Belfast sink in the kitchen. But I like doing all the kitchen racks and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh mate, I'm in the element.
I hate washing up, but I actually, it gives me a chance to listen to my Skeptic's Guide to the Universe podcast while I'm doing it. So
Yeah,
that makes it a bit more...
defrosting the freezer, mate. I'm in heaven.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me, mate. I need to get a life.
I hate anything to do with the kitchen that isn't eating food that was made in it.
Yeah,
so.
it's like, really? Hoovering is another thing as well.
Actually, I don't mind hoovering because hoovering seems to be one of those
Yeah.
things that, like, your parents did when you were young and it was a chore, but when you do it yourself, it takes like 5 minutes. You're like, I've done it now. What
Yeah,
what's the big issue with that?
I've got me crutch in my left hand to keep me upright, and we got the Dyson handheld thing, you know.
Yeah.
Don't know what
Oh,
that was.
I don't know what that is.
You know, so I have that in my other hand, and I'm like hopping along on me stick with the Hoover. But I'm happy.
I'm there hoovering going, ooh, no, spider, spider.
Yeah, and my missus, she's like, there's something not quite right with you, you know.
Yeah. Well, you
I
have to
think you
say
only
to her,
just
look,
realised that.
you have to say to her, look, I can't sit here and disassemble a carburettor, so it's the nearest I can get.
Absolutely.
Or it's the only way you know you can do something. You're just doing it to avoid being killed.
Yeah, Bill Schmenson says Festa as the voice of the boys.
What, the boys? Yeah, because he's an orc. Welcome, Bill
Yeah.
Schmenson, by the way. Welcome, not seen you before.
Welcome, mate. Yeah, I've got one of them voices, mate. It's the only one I got, but yeah, it's why
You ain't got one of them voices, have you?
That's why he said I was an orc, mate.
Colin is an orc.
I've got several books there, and I was thinking of recording one as an audio book for our mate Paul Stewart because it'd be right up his street.
I think the kind of book you should record is something like Little Women.
Oh, right.
Some, like, the book that's the furthest thing from your voice, like some proper, like, pantaloon, oh, Mr. Darcy, romantic.
The Shakespeare one, should I?
No, not Shakespeare. I mean proper, like, what's the name? The writer that did, like, oh, Mr. Darcy, all that period drama, romantic.
Oh, yeah, all that Edwardian and all of that
That's the,
shizzle, yeah.
That's the best thing that would sound good in your voice. Because you've got a technical manual voice, like you've got a Haynes manual voice, but you want to read the I can't remember what the author was called. What was she called?
I don't know.
The one
Jane
that-
Austen?
That's
No.
it. Jane Austen. There you go.
Yeah, oh, God, bloody hell, I got an author there. Cool, not good.
Wait, you knew Jane Austen? Oh dear. Anyway,
I
moving
know,
on.
it's scary, isn't it? Yeah, probably meta. I don't know.
Plastic Alchemist has just come in as we're shutting down for the night. But welcome, Plastic Alchemist. I can't speak. Welcome, Plastic Alchemist.
Could be worse. You could speak like me, mate.
I quite like your accent.
I hate it.
I quite like it. What?
Does my canister, mate.
Yeah, but it's you. It's you. You wouldn't be an orc, would you, if you didn't have that accent?
I am an orc. I have the boneless. That's who I am.
Festa the Cannon.
Festa Kit Basher.
Yeah.
I will bash all your kits.
You'll make all the kits out of no-whats and gubbins. I can't do it.
Yeah, gubbins and tomfoolery, mate.
See, if you don't know, he's got his little drawers labelled, and they're all labelled like no-whats, gubbins.
My drawers are labelled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots.
Lots. That's all, can it? As long as you've got one that's labelled no-what.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's going to do us. I think I need to go for a great big wee as well. So
Yeah, no
apologies,
worries, mate.
apologies to Plastic Alchemist and Bill Schmenson, who I think just come in recently. But yes, thank you for coming along, everyone. Don't forget, of course, if you'd like to support our channels, you can do. You can support me at there's a Festa 67's workshop. Then you can go to patreon.com/modelmakingguru and become a patron, or you can press the join button underneath any of my content and become a channel member. You're literally putting food on my table because I do this for a living. Or you can help out Colin as well. You can support his channel, which is Festa 67's workshop with no apostrophe on Patreon. So patreon.com/Festa 67's workshop.
Exactly.
Or you can become a member on his channel as well. I will not be here tomorrow for eModels Monday, but Colin will be with Chris and Ted. So you'll see them three on the eModels UK channel tomorrow for eModels Monday. I have many things planned this week. Unfortunately, they've all been thrown into chaos because I've now got to do my end-of-year financial accounts for various forms I have to fill in. I've now got to do that I normally do in January. I've got to do them now.
Yeah.
So that's my week gone. So, but
Oh dear.
I have a new project due to start. I'm hoping to get some of it done this week. So there you go.
Dun 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 dun.
But if you don't see me before then, I'll be back on Friday for the Friday Frolic on Colin's channel.
Good old Friday Frolic, no apostrophe.
Oh, good lad. There you go. Good girl. Less confusing.
Should there be one or not then?
No, there should be grammatically, but you've never had one, so the fact your channel doesn't have one.
My channel's got one, but my Patreon doesn't.
Yeah, so it's just if you're going for the Patreon, they might try and put the apostrophe in and then never find your channel.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So I've always assumed it's not got one, you see, so.
Yeah.
People get confused too easily. You know what it's like.
I'm easily confused, mate. You know that. You've known me long enough, mate.
I shall just, as evidence, I shall put forward the comment on one of my videos entitled "How to Do Gunk Wash with Starship Filth," in which somebody said, "Which paint did you use?" The entire video was how to do gunk wash with Starship Filth.
Yeah.
Which paint did you use? I'm like, really?
Yeah, closing the name, innit?
I can't help you with that one. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so support our channels. I'll be back on Friday and Saturday, hopefully with more video game goodness. Although I do need to do my Iron Man part work build as well, so I might try and get that done during the week sometime. But until then, again, thank you very much for joining us, Colin. As always, thank you for sharing the hosting duties.
It's no problem at all, mate. Always my pleasure, and thanks to each and every one of you that have come in and kept us two company today.
Not a sidekick, he's the partner. There you go. Not a sidekick.
Yeah.
And like I said, Cole, that's what makes these streams so good.
It's funny, it's helped you out because you got to the point where, especially when you started doing the frolic with us, you realised that the two-man show do work, don't they?
Yeah, one-man shows is fine. Two-man show is much more fun.
Just takes the pressure off a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it means I don't have to read the chat as much either. Whee!
Yeah, but we're both crap at that, ain't we?
Well, yeah, but at least I can then pass on the blame, can't I?
You can blame me, can't you? Yeah. My missus will have your back anyway. She'll go, see, you're not doing the chat like he asked.
So I can't read the chat because it's Colin that never shuts up, so I never get a chance to read any chat. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves. I will see you all soon. You'll see Colin tomorrow on eModels. But until then, I will say, let me take off thingy mode.
Oh, you're not doing eModels tomorrow, then?
No, I don't know what time I'm going to get back from the hospital with Mama Fox, so probably won't be. It'll probably be back late. That it won't have time to get ready. So
yeah, no worries, mate.
But yes, until next time, take care of yourselves. Go make something awesome like these. Go be awesome. And we'll be back with Chippy next time. Go be awesome. Until next time, I shall say...
Adios amigos.
Oh, you bugger.